Hey y'all, good morning from not Alabama. I know the last few videos, my regular viewers, I have built up this Alabama road trip I was going on, and it didn't happen. So we're filming from Tennessee today. I'll get into the nonsense with all that, plus we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, y'all. But first, let's get baited up. We're going after carp and buffalo today. We're gonna have some fun. I'm gonna put y'all on the chest here while we get baited up. We're using a pack bait combination of a few ingredients, which I'll go over as we get rigged up here, but I want to go ahead and get lines in because that sun, look where the sun up there. You can see it through the trees yonder there. It's coming, man. It's coming. We got to get up and get after it here. Get y'all's hind ends out of bed and let's go. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this morning. I done wrestled a dog to get me good and awake. Trying to get medicine into Daphne the dog is an ordeal, so if you ain't awake when you getting started doing that, you're gonna be awake by the time you're done. So this pack bait combination that we've got today, few ingredients. I'm back on the panko breadcrumbs, which we'll talk about that today. I'm kind of done with the soybean meal that I'd been using in recent trips. Last trip out there, I used a experiment, really a bait experiment, putting the panko against the soybean meal, and I like the panko better than the soybeans. So that's what we're going with today. But we've got panko, we've got cream style corn, we've got mango chunks, and then we've also got some strawberry jello mixed in there. And I'm gonna pull out some worms. We've got red worms and we've got night crawlers today. We got everything going on. Anything these fish could possibly want today, we got them covered, man. There ain't no excuses for these daggone fish not to bite, other than the fact that we're lollygagging around, flapping our gums instead of getting baits out here. So I'm gonna just kind of fan cast these baits around. We'll get everything out. I'll tell you where I'm at, how we're setting up and all that. But right now, mission number one is getting these baits on. So these feeders, I'm putting this pack bait on these cheap Amazon feeders here. Coil, wire, regular viewers have seen these, but if you're new, these come in like a 10-pack on Amazon for like 15 bucks, and you just pack this pack bait on here, which once you add, the panko breadcrumbs are dry, but once you put your corn in there, in this case the mango chunks and all them juices and everything, it makes it like a doughy bread-like mixture that you can then mash into this feeder. And one of the things I really like about panko that I didn't like about the soybean meal mix is that this panko, it's real easy to pack on here. And it'll stick to that really good, so when you cast, you ain't flinging half of it off the dang feeder, which was a problem with the soybean. The soybean meal just didn't pack very well, I didn't feel like. So we're putting a worm here on the hook. This is a number 6 size ESP brand hook. And I've got a hair rig with some plastic corn, just 2 pieces of plastic corn. Now all the carp professionals out there that plague my comment box, I don't know why they would want to watch an amateur like me when they're professionals, but they all tell me I'm stupid for doing this. They tell me that defeats the purpose of a hair rig by putting a worm on the hook with hair rig. Maybe it does, but it's working out. Hell, we're catching a bunch of fish with this setup. Not today, obviously, we're just getting started, but I'm just saying since I've been doing this. Now this one here, the corn got knocked off the hair rig on the last trip. I haven't replaced it yet. So this one here will just be a worm on the hook. But let me tell you my thought process. And I know these daggone experts that plague the comment. People love to, you know, you'd think they'd write a damn book. They're willing to write an essay in my comment box. You'd think they'd be willing to just write a book and educate the world. But let me tell you my rationale for wanting to have a little corn on the hair rig in addition to the worm on the hook. And I don't know if this is true. You know, I obviously don't fish over in Europe. Ain't never been there. Maybe someday. So I don't know what kind of other fish they have in Europe and England where carp fishing's real big. But here where I fish, Tennessee today, but you know, typically southeastern United States, even if I travel somewhere, all over the United States, you've got a bunch of different fish species. There's bluegill, sunfish, bass, catfish of all kinds, blues, channels, everything, right? It's possible that your worm gets knocked off the hook. Maybe you lose your worm in the cast. Maybe a bluegill eats your worm out there. You're sitting there with a bare hook if you don't have something on the hair rig. But if you do have something, whether it's plastic corn, real corn, a piece of fruit, whatever on that hair rig, if your worm gets knocked off or eaten by a small fish or whatever, you've still got something out there. So if a carp does come along and mess around there in your pack bait and in the chum pile and whatnot, they'll still eat that fake corn potentially. But I like the worms because we've been catching a lot more carp and buffalo this year and better quality fish on the worms versus just having the plastic corn or whatever on the hair rigs. Anyway, that's my rationale. I know all the experts out there will, oh goodness gracious, look right here. Boy, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? We just got hooked up just like that? Where are we at on the videos? Is this a new record? No, we're 7 minutes in, it looks like. I've hooked fish quicker than that, but hell, part of the intro was me flapping my daggone gums. That's pretty quick though. For no longer than the rod, especially this middle one, that was the second one I baited. That's fast, man. All right, folks, he's coming right at us too. Oh man, that's a catfish. Well, that's wrong species. That's what I was wanting to catch in Alabama, except way bigger. Didn't work out. Again, we'll get into that very shortly. We got a lot to discuss today, folks, a lot to discuss. I got things going on. We got bad Judy. I'm working on getting a hex off of me. I done it to myself because I put something in my house that should have never went in there. And yeah, we're gonna get into all that today. Let's land this fish first though. Come on in, this is a blue cat. This is what I wanted in Alabama, just I wanted them about 60 pounds bigger. This little guy right here, he might get to 60 pounds someday, but it's gonna be a long time from now. He's got a ways to go before he grows up. That was fast though, man. I mean, I barely got my hands wiped off from getting everything baited up, and just like that, man, fish number one. And since he's a blue, we'll actually count him. If he's a channel cat, wouldn't count, you know, but that one right there, quality species, even though it ain't what we're after. So again, let's just take a handful of this pack bait since he knocked it all off the rig. Every time we cast out today, these breadcrumbs will eventually fall off this feeder and we'll create a little chum pile and create some scent. So as fish work through this creek today, and I'm in a backwater creek, this is now my new favorite place to fish for carp after what happened at the last carp video there a couple weeks back. The last place I was at used to be the favorite place, but after those shenanigans last week, I was like, you know what? That place is tainted now. So this is my new favorite place now because I've never been pestered here by boats and whatnot. So let's get this back out here. We're just kind of fan casting, you know, like just trying to put a little distance between these baits. create 3 different chum piles out there. And every time we cast out, we're adding more to it. Our bait, our rigs, when they hit the water, some of these crumbs, they're going to fall off there on the water surface. And so, and the wind's not blowing right now, but as the wind moves today, any breeze we get, it'll disperse those crumbs out there and kind of just help our scent go. This particular creek not going to have any flow to it whatsoever. So I got to reset my power poles here. One of them come loose there when I shifted my weight. But yeah, folks, this creek, let me tell you where I'm at here and how I'm setting up and whatnot, and then we'll get into all the shenanigans of why I'm not in Alabama. This creek, it's a long creek, and you get toward the back, you don't want to go out toward the front of it right now, folks. I come in from that direction, I'm pretty sure I come up on a meth operation today. Somebody that's put a camper, like an old-timey Walter White style camper down in the woods. It's a shady, sketchy looking shenanigans going on there. I'm pretty sure there's a meth operation going on. So don't be tromping around in the woods. Thankfully, it was daylight enough, you know, I think they could see I wasn't the law coming. I didn't get shot today. But anyway, long creek, and fairly narrow. It's got some depth to it out there, but narrower, more narrow channel out there. But when you come back here to the back of it, it widens out and it's real shallow, and it's real shallow for a long stretch. And so out here where these baits are at is usually, you know, 2, 3, 4 feet deep. The water's down maybe a foot or so today, so it's probably a little less. And then it goes back here toward the back where it chokes down much more narrow again back there. But this creek, because it's so wide, and as you get on back in here so small, there's really no flow in here. It's just kind of, this is just kind of still water that's just wide and very shallow. And for whatever reason, the carp love it. And it's become one of my favorite places to fish here in East Tennessee for carp because it's been so consistent. Every time I've hit this creek, I don't recall ever getting skunked out here. You know, like every time I've been here, I've gotten several fish. I've gotten some good quality fish. I've got buffalo in here and whatnot. So this has become one of my, the other creek I was in, let me tell you this, folks. The last carp trip, regular viewers seen it. The creek that I was fishing, I'm gonna put y'all in the chest here in case one of these rods goes down again. I don't want you to miss it. I don't know why I'm still standing up here. I'm gonna sit down in a minute. I'm excited to be out here today, folks. The last creek there that I fished in that video, I love the area. It's just a beautiful spot to fish. It's very secluded. It's a smaller creek. And I have caught a surprising amount of fish in that creek. And I'm out there, it's been a couple weeks ago. I was doing the soybean meal versus panko experiment. And I wanted to go there because it was such a narrow creek. You know, I could put them baits side by side and see if they showed a preference to one or the other. And I was talking early on that trip, I remember saying it, and I probably jinxed myself, how I don't ever see any boats back there. And I didn't think boats could really get back there because of the, not so much the width of the creek itself, but just the fact you have to go through these real shallow areas to get back to the kind of deeper cut there that I was in. Well, I'll be damned. We're, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours in the trip. I don't remember when it was. Here comes the daggone pontoon boat back there. His boat's almost as wide as the creek. And here he comes motoring up through there. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I've never seen anybody back here before. And the guy in the pontoon boat, he was like, he couldn't believe I was back there. He was like, I've never seen anybody back here before. It's like, you know, it's like if a human walks up on a Bigfoot or something, you know, it's like the first encounter, you've never seen each other before. But he said, hell, he lived back there in the back of that creek somewhere, farther back than I've ever went in it, apparently. But yeah, so after that, the magic was gone, folks. I thought I had like kind of my own little secluded, nobody goes there type place. And now that I know he's back there, it's kind of like, you know, if you've ever, you know, if any of y'all out there's ever had a girlfriend or your wife or something that's maybe fooled around on you with another man, afterwards, you just don't look at her the same, you know, the relationship. I mean, I ain't gonna say all, in my situation, the relationship's over. But, you know, some of y'all, I ain't telling you how to run your lives. If you want to give her a second chance, whatever. But I'm just saying, you probably ain't never gonna, some of the magic's gonna be gone, you know what I mean? Like it ain't gonna be the same as it was before. And it's the same with that place. Man, now that I know that other dude's back there, and he's fishing back there, and, you know, he's got a damn pontoon boat back, well, it ain't the same to me anymore. I'll still go there probably some, but some of the magic's gone. The place is tainted now. It's not cherry anymore. So, anyway, this now is my new favorite carp place until such a time that we get pestered by a boat back here. But normally, even if I've fished here in the past and seen a boat, they're normally out toward the entrance of it, or, you know, they usually don't come back this far into water that's 2 or 3 feet deep. At least I hope I'm not jinxing it again today, man. We're filming this on a weekday. This is a Monday when I'm filming this. So hopefully there's not going to be much, if any, boat traffic. When I launched at the ramp that I used to access the spot, there was one boat there. And they were fly fishing, actually, so I don't think they're going to be back up in here. So anyway, that's where we're at. This is what we're doing today. We're hoping to get some carp and some buffalo. The whole reason for me, I bought 50 pounds of soybean meal because all these internet experts in my comment box was telling me, Justin, you want to catch more buffalo, you got to use soybean meal. These are the same people, some of the same people that tell me I can't use a worm on a hair rig, even though I'm using a worm on a hair rig with plastic corn and catching a ton of fish. They tell me I can't. But anyway, I listen to these people. I use that soybean meal for the last few trips as the Blue Jays are back here talking to us. Them Blue Jays are upset, man. They wanted me to bring them some of that soybean meal, I guess. I got that soybean meal to catch more buffalo. That was the whole point in it. 50-pound bag I had to buy. I paid $30-something just to have it shipped to my house because I couldn't find any locally. And you know how many buffalo we caught on the soybean meal? 0. Now, I had somebody, I'd shout them out, I forget their name, on the screen name. Now, they said that these backwater creeks right now, summer, now we're into early fall here. I think today's the September 16th when I'm filming this video. But you know, they said, you know, the buffalo right now, not so much really back in these backwaters. They're more out in the channel right now. And that may be true for the bulk of the fish, but damn near every trip that we've used the soybean meal on, I've seen buffalo out in front of us, like coming up and surfacing like they do in front of us. But you can't get them to eat. So, there may not be a lot of buffalo back here or in the places that I have fished and filmed, but there have been some buffalo, and they have had 0 interest in that soybean meal that I was throwing out. Now, the last session there in the creek where the pontoon boat showed up, I was running that experiment, panko on one side and the soybean meal on the other, and it's so narrow, man, and that creek had a little flow to it. So any fish coming up down through there, like, they're gonna be able to pick up on the scent of both and choose which one they want to go to. That was the thought process, right? Well, I'm out there, I'm running them rigs. One of the last, it may have been the last fish I caught, I can't remember. Last fish or next to last fish. It's a buffalo, man. Finally, After the last several sessions getting skunked on the buffalo, I got me a buffalo. And you know what he ate? He ate a damn panko. the panko breadcrumb pack bait that I had been getting plenty of buffalo on before throughout the year, that I switched away from to try to get more, that was what caught him. So I said, you know what, I'm tired of this damn, I get a little bit frustrated every time I've used a soybean meal, because it's gonna happen 2 or 3 times a trip. I'm gonna pack that stuff on, and because of the consistency of it, it's hard to pack on the feeder. So you go to cast and you fling half of it off. Whereas the panko, that rarely happens, because it's like a dough mix, you know? It just packs better. So the panko, it's easier for me to get because it's available at local grocery stores, Walmart, dollar store, etc. It packs better. It's cleaner. I mean, my hands right now, perfectly clean. That soybean meal sticks to you, makes a mess all over everything. And I catch more buffalo with the panko. So that's what we're rolling with, folks. Now, I'll add other stuff in to the panko mix. Today, obviously, we're using the corn and the mangoes. I think, I don't remember if it was the last time or time before, I tried some bananas. We've tried various types of beans, stuff like that. We'll add that kind of stuff in. But I think the primary mix going forward is going to be the panko. Now, I've had, and this ain't just internet experts, this is just, you know, a lot of you out there, regular viewers, have commented your favorite bait recipes that you like. And there's all kinds of concoctions, man, from various types of cereals, whether it's Wheaties, cornflakes, oatmeal, instant oats, all these various different things. And some people want to use syrup. Some people want to use like grape soda or orange soda or stuff like that. I'll tell you right now, unless you could prove to me that I'm going to catch significantly more fish with one of those recipes versus what I'm using, I don't want to do it, because, you know, I'm out here, I'm handling the camera and stuff. I don't want to have maple syrup. You know how sticky that stuff is. I don't want to have that all over my hands from packing that bait and then be handling my camera and stuff. Same thing with like the grape soda and orange soda and whatever flavor of soda they're mixing into some of their mixtures. You get that all over your hands, it's all sticky and stuff, and then you're handling camera gear and whatnot. Like, I don't want to fool with that, man. I don't want to do it. So I'm gonna stick with this for a while until it stops working. But since I started using the panko mix, man, we've caught a lot of fish. The last, I don't know how long I've been using it, a couple of years. Did I start using it last year or the year before? I can't remember. Time flies. Days are long, years fly by, as the saying goes. So yeah, folks, that's where I'm at with it as far as the internet telling me what kind of mixtures I should be using. I'm gonna stick with this because it keeps working. We'll try different fruits and beans and stuff like that in with the mix, but look right here. Oh, look right here. We had 2 rods getting a little love tap. Something might have been either around the base, around the chum pile, or working on the worm, one of the two. I think something's working on that worm. But I'm probably gonna keep doing the worm and the hair-rigged bait as well. We got this one rod over here today, just the worm only, but I just like having a backup option if a bluegill or a turtle or a channel cat or something gets that worm, picks it clean off the hook, and we don't know about it. Like that right there, for instance. We saw the rod wiggle a little bit, That could have been a bluegill or channel cat or something getting that worm. And if that happens and you don't have nothing on like a hair rig, well, you sitting there with a bare hook. And you ain't gonna catch that on bare, I ain't gonna catch that on a bare hook, you might. Some of y'all more talented than me. I hear about it all the time in my comment box. But I kind of like having the second option out there. So, you know, I'm not a professional carp fisherman. I just go out and try to have fun, try to catch some fish. That's what we're gonna do today. In not Alabama, we're gonna try to catch some fish and have some fun. Let me see this. Okay, we're good on that. I was making sure we didn't have nothing on that camera lens there from that last fish. I forgot to check it. Yeah, so anyway, let me tell you about Alabama, folks. So I had planned on going down there for the King Cat kayak tournament. It's a national trail, kayak catfishing trail. Been fishing it this year, with the exception, I didn't go to the Sandusky Bay tournament this year. But I had planned on going to the Wheeler, Alabama. And I went down there a week in advance and pre-fished a little bit. Did a couple sessions. Felt like I had a solid game plan going into tournament day. Well, Mother Nature decided she's gonna blow up a hurricane / tropical storm. I don't know what it ever was in the ocean. I don't know if it ever hit hurricane status or not. I don't really watch the news. But nevertheless, by the time it hit Alabama, it was a tropical storm. And leading up to the tournament, the weather forecast kept changing every day. First, it was going to be raining and wind blowing, and then as it got closer, the worst of the winds and the worst of the heavy rain and storms was looking like it was going to be gone before tournament day. I'm like, great, you know, this is going to work out. And so I went out. The last video was filmed, it was filmed on Thursday, this past Thursday. I was fishing here locally, and I talked about the next day, that Friday, I was going to go out Friday morning, get some bait, drive to Alabama, spend the night, fish the tournament there on Saturday. That was the plan. And when I had went to bed there, I fished that video, or filmed that video on Thursday. When I had went to bed the night before, Wednesday night, the updated forecast, the weather was looking fine for Saturday. The worst of the wind was going to be gone. It was going to be just light rain, nothing bad. I'm like, great, man, this is going to work out. Well, I get up Friday morning, I'm going to go out and catch some bait. I look at the weather report to see what's going on. The hell, the damn forecast has changed again. Now the wind's going to be 15 to 20 with 25, 27 mile an hour gusts and heavy downpours all day long. And I was like, oh man, like, do I really want to drive that far to fish in a monsoon all day? And I'd reached out to some of the other guys. Some of them were already down there. They'd went down for the entire week, like Ryan Bortz, Chris, Minahan. They had went down there and spent the week fishing, pre-fishing, camping and stuff, which I'm not a camper, but I sure as hell don't want to camp in a daggone tropical storm, but by gosh, they did. And so they were already there. And another guy, he had made plans, took off work to come from Kansas. And so, you know, there was pressure on the tournament director to have this event regardless of the weather situation. You know, because the people that had driven long, as this middle rod here is getting a little tap. I hope y'all can see good. You know, I'm still standing up for some reason. I don't know why. They say standing's better than sitting. People are making these desks now that you stand behind instead of sit behind. That's a new trend. I don't think that trend will last long. If I'm working at a desk, I want to sit down. But anyhow, yeah, there's pressure on the tournament director to have this tournament regardless of the weather. And so I talked to some of the other guys that normally fish these national trail events, and they were like, man, they're not going. because they wasn't going to be able to pre-fish at all because the weather leading up to it was going to be so bad. And most people, if you're traveling that far and you're paying that kind of entry fee, you want to at least poke around a little bit ahead of the tournament. If not fishing, just look around with your electronics, or figure out where you're going to launch. Get a game plan ahead of tournament day. And guys didn't want to drive down because the couple days leading up to the tournament, they were having like 50-mile-an-hour winds down there from the tropical storm. Left rod, there he goes. Oh, he tugged it and let go. He gave it a nice tug. You think a worm's still on there? I'm gonna reel it in. I think he got a worm. He pulled that hard. He had to have got the worm. Well, no, he didn't. The worm's still on there. Well, we'll go ahead and put some more pack bait on anyway, just get a little bit more scent out there. Daggone fish giving me the tease like that, man. Giving me the tease. That fish right, you know what it was? I reeled in the last fish. And so that one that hit, he realized it was your turn to reel one in. He said he didn't want to be reeled in by you. He wanted me to reel him in. So he said he'll let some other fish be fish number 2 and he'll be fish number 3. It'll be my turn again. Apparently he didn't realize that I have to end up reeling in all y'all's fish anyway. Can't get y'all to do anything around here. Okay, got that cast back out. Should have cast it a little farther maybe, but it'd be all right. So anyhow, I talked to some of the other guys. There was hardly anybody going to this tournament. Like, it was going to be a very low turnout. There ended up only being 7 people go to this thing. So, I'm there the day before the tournament. The weather forecast is looking like crap. Nobody's going to the tournament anyway. And I'm like, do I want to drive that far to go fish in a monsoon? The older I get, I fully admit it, I'm turning into a fair weather fisherman, man. A day like today, where it's going to be about sunny and 75 this afternoon, hey, sign me up, buddy. But a day where it's going to be just windy and pouring down rain, I'm like, man, I'd just rather sit home and watch football. That's what I did. I sat home and watched football this weekend. But I was disappointed, man. I wanted to go. The older I get, man, I just don't like fishing in a monsoon, especially in a kayak. And it's bad enough trying to fish in a monsoon, but trying to film in it also, with camera gear, microphones, all that crap, like it ain't fun for sure. And, with this tournament, with only 7 people going, there's not much money in it. So if you're not going to have fun and you ain't going to have a potential for making any money at it, is it worth going to, really? And so I wanted to go. But I saw that weather report Friday morning. I was like, heck with it. So I ended up watching football all weekend, and it's probably, truth be told, it's probably best I didn't go anyway. I think I would have gotten beat badly. Ryan Bortz, he had the best day of fishing in his life. That's what he said anyway. It was the best day of fishing he'd ever had, and his score reflected it. I forget what his total score was. I think it was like 130-something inches. I mean, he had, I think, a 46-inch fish, a 45-inch fish, and another over 40 inches. Like, he had a very impressive score. His left rod. Oh, something's got it. This ain't what we want, though. This ain't what we want. Y'all reel this one in for me, would you? We don't want this one. You might want him, I don't want him. That's a channel cat here, I'm convinced of, or a small blue. Way smaller than the last one too. I saw some carp jumping on the way in this creek this morning, so I saw about as many carp as I did meth heads, but still, there's some carp in here. But right now, we're getting catfished. I'm gonna try to get this hook out before he wants to spin and put it in me. It's a small hook, but I still don't want to wear it. I guess technically we're still setting at one fish because this one don't count. He was probably what tugged on that line a minute ago too. Be my guess. All right, channel cat, get on out of here. Yo, thing. Trying to splash us on the way. Let's do it again. Put us another worm on there. We got red worms and we've got night crawlers today. We got combination. Those are the worms that are left in my fridge. They've been in there a while, so we need to kind of work through them today. So I'm hoping we get several fish as the morning goes on. I'm just going to fish a few hours. Let's get that piece of mango, mash it in there too. I don't know if fish like mango or not. I've just been trying different vegetables and different fruits just to add into the mix, just to try something. Probably don't really matter, truth be told. I'd say they'll probably eat about any of it, just like they will just any of the pack bait mixtures. I've said this before, I think it's really just drawing them into the area and having something for them to eat. If you can do that, you're probably going to get bit. Biggest thing is just fishing an area that has fish. Can't catch fish if there ain't no fish there. That's some deep philosophy right there for you, folks. Very, very deep philosophy. I'm a philosopher at heart. There we go. Okay, we got that back out. Put our worm. We're about out. This was a partial tub of worms that I had left over from the last time. They survived, but we got a few left in there. I think the whole tub of night crawlers is new. I don't think I'd used any from it. So we got plenty of worms today. So anyway, Alabama trip didn't happen. I wussed out and stayed home instead of fishing the monsoon because I'm a fair weather fisherman. I did enjoy watching football all weekend though. It's that time of year, man. I like to just spend the weekends, feet up on the couch, eating very unhealthy snacks like this fish is about to be unhealthy. Look here. He's got it, man. Is this another daggone catfish? It better not be. If this is another, okay, he's gonna run now. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is what we want right here. This is more like it. This, I'm pretty sure, is what we want. When I first saw it and first picked up, I thought, okay, this is another daggone channel cat. And I was gonna have you give them a stern talking to if that was the case, because they don't listen to me. I've been telling them, leave those baits alone for months, and they just do whatever the hell they want. They got no respect for me. But I know if you tell them in a stern voice, they'll listen. I know they will. Nobody would dare disrespect you. He's gonna swim over my other line. I need him to go over it or under it, one of the two. I don't care which. I can't tell what he's done. Oh, I think he's in it. I think he's dragging the line. It's okay. We'll sort it out, but I could have done without a tangle here for fish number 3. Or fish number 2 technically, since the channel don't count. Boy, this thing is just going where he wants, man. I'm just kind of hanging on and bringing in the line. Now he's going to do, okay. He was just slowly but surely just making his way. Making his way in the world today. I'm not going to sing that song again. Those of you that didn't watch the last video, you missed out because I sang the Wampler's Sausage Factory jingle from the 80s. This fish is all wrapped up in this line, man. That's a nice carp. But he is all up in that line and we are going to have a mess. Let me just reel up some slack here on this one because it is going to be a, well, actually, did he just come out of it just then when I reeled up the slack? By gosh, he did. We'll still have to cast the other one back out. But we just caught a break right there, folks. First break of the day. I'm gonna tire him out a little more. I think this is a good one. I'm gonna tire him out, try to keep him out of my anchor poles and keep him out of my motor. Figure out which side he wants to be landed on. Yeah, this is a good one. This is what we out here to get today, folks. This right here is what I want to hook into. I've been doing a lot of catfishing lately. And I've just got a hankering for the carp, man. Let's get him on this side if we can. My net's already over here. If y'all's worth a crap as a fishing partner, you'd already have this fish netted. He's still spry, I'll tell you that. All right, let's get our net here and see if we can just scoop him up. I fixed my net, by the way. I had that hole in there, and fish had tore in it, and put me some small zip ties on there, and good as new. Come here, carp. He ain't coming here. He ain't listening to me. You gotta talk to him in that stern voice. These fish don't respect me. No respect from these fish. Oh man, look at this, y'all. Look at this. Good golly, that's a fat carp, man. Man, that's a good one, y'all. Buddy, that right there is a sow. Look at this, man. Wow. Nice one. Look at that. He had the worm, and we got the hair rig with the fake corn. That rig, it ain't gonna catch no fish, folks. That's what the internet professionals tell me. You can't do that. We just done it though. We done it on video, an unedited, uncut video. No shenanigans going on. There we go. All right, let me put y'all up here in the front mount. That one's fist pump worthy, y'all. Let me set you up here. Oh, man. Let's see if I can get hold of this thing, man. This right here is a hefty fish, man. A hefty fish. Look at that. Lighting's bad right now with that sun right behind me, but man, look at the gut on that thing. That was a powerful fish too, buddy. I mean, he did what he wanted to do. You a fan of my shirt, fish? My shirt matches the fish. I bet all carp are probably Tennessee fans because of the orange. All right, well, let's let him go. We're gonna cast 2 more baits out here since that one, the line got drug all over creation, but yeah, man. Yes, y'all, that's awesome. That's awesome right there. That is what I want to see. Not only the species, but the size. That is exactly what we're after. Fish, carp number 1. Technically, I guess, second fish we're counting, 3rd fish species, but that's what we want. If we get a buffalo today, we've had it all. That's what we need next is a buffalo. That fish, when he drug all our rig around there, we've lost the worm somehow. We're just gonna cast both these back out, get everything set back up again. The rod on the right ain't been hit. And for some reason, the best I can figure, that's happened before when I fished this spot. Like these 2 rods, I just probably spooked a bunch of fish then when I dropped that rod. There's been other times in the past where that rod God almighty, I done it again. One of y'all hold that rod over there so it'll quit falling. You see me trying to bait this thing. But yeah, there's something about that. I don't know if maybe fish are when this happens like this, I always wonder, is there something wrong with the rig? Or is it because fish are finding the other ones first? Like if fish are working their way out of the back this way, well, of course they're going to come to these front 2 rods here before they get to that one over there. So is it just a directional thing? Like, I don't know. But that happens sometimes. Like and it happens with catfishing too, where you'll have one rod just get hit more than others sometimes. But to my knowledge this morning here, that right rod ain't even been, like it ain't even had nothing pecking at it, like at the worm or anything. Unless something just got the worm while we was dealing with the other fish we've reeled in and I didn't see it get hit. That's possible. We might ought to just check it. We probably should. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe it got hit during the other chaos of the fish being reeled in and we didn't know about it, and that rig on the right doesn't have anything on the hair rig, so if it's sitting there with a bare hook, that would explain why it ain't had any action on it. Well, I just wrapped that up in a tangle right there. I done it to myself. I'm trying to rush to get everything back out here because we got some big carp out there, man. That was a big one, y'all. I don't know why I'm whispering all of a sudden. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I am. But that right there, man, that's what I want to catch today, man. That's what I'm in the mood for. I've been doing all this catfishing lately, and I wanted today just get in a creek, sit back and relax, and catch some big old fish. And that's what we're doing right there, man. That's fun. Let's get this cast back out. And then we're going to reel in that one on the right. My gear here, I put some English on that, didn't I, buddy? I launched that thing. Didn't mean to cast that one that far. Gear here, though, if you're new to the channel, new to carp fishing videos, original chopstick from Catfish Sumo for the rods, Daiwa BG4000 reels, 30-pound Power Pro braid for the line. Yeah, let's reel this in. You think there's a worm on there still? We've been picked clean. Well, that explains it. I'm glad I checked that. Y'all to let that sit out there with a bare hook all day long. I know yins would have. I've fished with yins before. I know how you are. We'll get it packed on here with some more bait. We'll see if we can get another worm on there. Hopefully the next worm will stay on the hook a little better. Yeah, I just didn't. This rig on my last trip, the fish had knocked the plastic corn off the hair rig, there's a little piece of plastic called a hair stop that you put behind your plastic corn or whatever plastic bait you got there on the hair rig, and it keeps it from falling off. And that one of them fish there on the last trip had broke that plastic hair stop and flung the baits off, and I didn't fix it back. I do this carp fishing so infrequently that between trips I forget if I need to change out a piece of gear or tie a new rig or whatever, I forget. I keep all these rigs kind of ready to go and a hatch in my kayak here, so if we broke off today for something, it's a quick turnaround as far as tying a new one on. We don't have to, tie all the pieces of the rig and blah, 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 blah. It just takes too long to do that on the water. I like to have it all ready to go, save time, especially when we're filming like we are today. If I was just out here piddling around myself, I'd still do it how I do it, but it wouldn't be as important. But with us fishing together like this and these unedited trips, y'all don't want to watch me retie stuff all day. What was I talking about before the fish interrupted us? Oh, I was talking, okay, Alabama. So anyway, obviously didn't go. But if I had gone, I'd probably get beat and probably get beat real bad down there, because Ryan, he put up a hell of a score, man. I mean, 3 just trophy class fish, and he would have been tough to beat regardless. And the tournament, because there were so few people, it only paid 2 spots, and second place pretty much just got you entry fee back. So like, all the money for the tournament was in first place, which I probably wouldn't have won. You never know, but probably wouldn't have won regardless. So it may have been a blessing in disguise to not go, but what really sucks about it is me not going ensured that I didn't get any points toward Angler of the Year. And with Ryan winning and getting big fish, he got the extra 2 bonus points. Because the way the Angler of the Year works, if you get first place, it's 100 points, second place 99, third 98, and so forth and so on as you make your way down how you finish. It don't matter if the tournament has 7 people like this one did or 50 people. The point system's the same. So Ryan still got his 100 points for first place, and you get 2 extra points for the big fish prize. So he got 102 points. And our Angler of the Year prize is determined by your 5 best tournaments. And so the win in big fish put Ryan 2 points ahead of me now. After we got 2 tournaments left. I forget how many tournaments. I can't remember if it was 8 tournaments or 9 this season. I can't remember. But anyway, he's got 501 points. I've got 499 points. Adam Flegel's got 496 or 497, so he's definitely in contention too. So we got 2 tournaments left, weather permitting, and then the next one's in Louisiana in October. So, planning a trip to Louisiana during hurricane season, hit or miss, we'll see. But I hope it pans out, and I hope I do well. I'm going to have to do well to have a chance at Angler of the Year. Fortunately, the Angler of the Year in this kayak trail, it pays 3 places. First place, obviously, way more than second or third, but you still get a little something even if you finish 3rd place. With the fact that my score is where it is, and with only 2 tournaments left, the worst I'm going to finish is 3rd place. So I'm going to get paid for Angler of the Year regardless. But I'd like to win. I'm fairly competitive. I'd like to win Angler of the Year. But you can't win sitting at home on the couch watching football. And that's what I did this weekend while the other 7 guys that showed up was out there in a damn tropical storm catching fish and catching big fish. So my hat's off to them. I congratulate them. I sent Ryan a message congratulating him. And look at this middle rod right here. I'm going to congratulate a fish if he takes it. I thought there's a little weight on it. Maybe I'm imagining things. I'm looking up. The sky is getting kind of bright up there, even though we're sitting in the shade. I'm going to bust out my shades. I need to clean these things too. I got all that oil from all my face on there in these glasses. I need to clean these glasses about as bad as I need to clean this kayak. Oh, that's what I was going to talk to you all today about. We got a lot to talk about with my kayak situation. So, regular viewers, I'm going to be switching kayaks soon. At least that's the plan. New viewers, I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version of why. So, today I'm in a Hobie Pro Angler kayak. It's a 2017 model. I bought it used in 2019, been using it the last 5 years. Been a great kayak, a great platform to fish from in most conditions. Not all conditions. The times and places where this kayak struggles is in big water scenarios. Days where you're fishing a big lake or reservoir and the wind kicks up and you've got real choppy waves. If you've got a heavy houseboat traffic kind of day, you're taking water over the bow. Water gets inside that front hatch and fills up. I damn near sank this thing back in the spring. I was out in some high winds. So anyway, I've had this kayak 5 years. I'm looking to change to something that don't have a giant front hatch, and something too that I can fish either off the front of the kayak like I'm doing now, or off the back of the kayak by being able to spin the seat around. And so I've been holding out. I wanted to switch last year, but really the only 2 models of kayaks that would kind of suit what I wanted to do was the Jackson Take 2 and the New Canoe Unlimited. And the Jackson Take 2, I've known 2 people that have them, Kayak Mike and Ryan Bortz. Both of them have cracked the hull in the same exact spot. And the old saying I live by, once is an accident, twice is a pattern. When both people that I know that have that kayak have cracked it in the same spot, I think it's probably a defect. Like there's something about the plastic in that area that's causing it to crack. So I was very hesitant on that kayak because of that. And that kayak was made as a recreational model. It's mainly made for tandem. Like if you and your kid or you and your wife or whatever wanted to get out and just paddle around, sightsee and stuff like that, you can put 2 seats in it and go do your thing. I don't know why you would want to. It seems like that would be a recipe for divorce if you were out there with your wife. If you were out there with your kid and they had a fishing pole, I'm assuming you would probably be wearing a hook at some point. But regardless, that's what that kayak was made for. So because of that, if you want to put a 360 seat on it, if you want to mount a motor on it, if you want to put rod holders on it, everything's got to be jimmy rigged together on there. You got to DIY everything. And that's what Ryan and Mike did. They DIY'd it, and they did fantastic jobs with their rigs. But I didn't want to do that. As our right rod over here, our line was jumping. Amazing. We got a worm. We actually got a bait on the hook, and it gets a little attention. How about that? Line jumped a couple times, but that's all that happened. So, anyhow, the Jackson Take 2, I kind of wanted to just pump the brakes on, right? Didn't really want to go that route. The NuCanoe Unlimited was an option. I love the layout of the NuCanoe Unlimited. The open floor plan, the fact NuCanoe has all these accessories that you can add a rudder, you can add the motor, you can easily add stuff on the NuCanoe. What I don't like about the NuCanoe is the company. I had one a few years ago, a different model. It was the worst kayak I've ever owned, quality-wise. And it was just nothing but problems. Customer service was a joke. Still waiting on that phone call from them, the callback. So I really just didn't want to support NuCanoe again. So instead of getting one last year, with those being kind of the only two options that really suited what I was wanting to do, I was like, you know, I'm going to wait. I'm going to give it another year. This kayak's good quality. I mean, you know, it's just, it don't suit all of my needs, but I mean, it suits enough of my needs. I'm content with it. So I'm going to wait another year, see what comes out. Well, lo and behold, I cast this past summer here. Bonafide comes out with a new kayak, the XTR 130. And that kayak today, let me just double check, I'm telling you the truth. Yeah, today's the 16th. So last I had heard, that kayak was shipping out today. Going from the factory, the dealers were going to start getting it today. That's what last I'd heard. We'll see if that happens. I don't know if there's been more delays or whatnot, but they should, regardless. My videos are on a little bit of a delay. So by the time you're seeing, as these shad are coming up here, flipping us birds and whatnot, by the time you're seeing this video, a week or two after the fact, those kayaks should be in stores, unless something crazy has happened. And my plan was I wanted to look at this kayak in person before making a final decision, but I was pretty sure I was going to get this kayak. I've already bought the motor for it. I've got a power pole, the power pole Move PV model. It's a 36-inch shaft. It's their kayak version, but it's 24 or 36 volt. So I got a 36 volt lithium battery that will allow me to run that motor at 100-pound thrust, which from what PowerPole has said on their videos should push you about 7 to 8 miles an hour roughly in a kayak, which is pretty incredible. I mean, that's fast speeds for a kayak. Considering now I go 4 to 4.5 in my current setup, and about 3 to 3.5 in my other kayak with the pedals. Something's on this worm again. Y'all tell that fish to either eat it or don't, but don't pick it off the hook. Well, every time I turn, he's hit it twice now, and every time I turn the camera around, he quits. So anyhow, I've already bought the motor. I've already bought the battery. All I'm waiting on is the kayak. And I wanted to look at this Bonafide in person before making a final decision. So I'm going to get it from Raccoon Creek Outfitters. I already spoke with the owner up there. I'm not committed to it. I've not put a deposit down on it. I don't have to take it, but when he gets the first order into his shop up there, Raccoon Creek Outfitters up there in Ohio, he's the Raccoon Creek. The reason I'm buying from him versus another bona fide dealer is they are sponsoring the kayak trail. Oh, middle rod. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. It's on again. To be continued on the story. He's making a run, buddy. Look at him go. Look at him go. Let's tighten down just a smidge. I don't want to tighten too much while he's making this run. We'll pull the hook out. This feels like another good one though, man. This feels like another good one. This feels solid. If this one's anywhere close to the size of the last one, we're in for a good time here. It's going to be a little bit of a battle. Y'all tape up your wrist, get your back brace on. We're in for some weightlifting here. I need him to kind of stay between these two. We don't want any more repeats of what happened last time. Getting another line. He's going over it over there. Look at that. He's swam right over that line. I don't think he got in it though. Maybe he went behind it. He probably went behind it because he made such a long run that way. I guess he's heading on out of this creek. He must not know these meth heads up there cooking meth right now in that old camper. I swear y'all, it looked just like Walter White. That's the first, when I saw that, I was like, Walter White and Jesse Pinkman's out here in East Tennessee cooking up some blue meth. Because that's what it looked like. Thankfully, it was daylight enough they could see that I wasn't the popo. This fish, he got caught in I saw a piece of brush stick up over there, but I guess he come out of it. He's just coming at us, man. He's doing what he wants to do. He ain't really making another hard run. He's just slowly coming along here. He's gonna try to go behind the kayak now. Oh, that's another good one. Yep, I knew when I picked up on him, felt the weight of him there. I was like, this is another pretty good fish right here. Don't get around that motor or my poles, fish. We got obstacles you need to not work around. That's a good one. My gosh, that's a good one. He's got the line hung in his fin. I think he's got the hook in the mouth and the line somehow around the fin here. Let's see what we can do with this. Kind of want to net him sideways, maybe. Boy, that's a good one, man. Oh, buddy, that's a good one. Let me get me some slack here, y'all. Boy, that's a good one. I wonder with us getting to be into fall here a little bit, and the water temperature's cooling down a smidge, days getting shorter, if some of these bigger fish ain't moving back up in here in the backwaters. I mean, we've gotten some big ones in this creek before, but today, both of these carp so far have been, I mean, these have been really good fish. Look at that thing, man. Oh, man, look at this thing, y'all. Man. Got that corn stuck in the net there. I'll get that in a second. Let me set y'all back up here. Y'all take a picture of me and this fish, would you? This one's picture worthy right here. I can get hold of him one time. Oh man. That's another slob, man. Got a knot on his head. Look how thick he is. This one don't have the gut that the last one did, but I mean, it's a solid fish. This makes me happy, y'all. All right. Let's send you packing, buddy. Go tell your friends. We got more worms. Yes, y'all. Yes. I tell you, man, the bite ain't lights out right now. We're not getting just constant action at this moment. But boy, that's 2 solid fish, buddy. It's a quality over quantity kind of day. At least thus far, anyway. I got to try to work this corn out of the net. I'm not a fishing net expert. This was a Walmart special right here. I think I paid $18, I think, for this net. I feel like I need one with bigger mesh, because obviously the carp ain't going to go through it if it's bigger, but when the corn gets wrapped up in that mesh, it's hard to get out sometimes. I got this hair rig all looped around here. Hey, let's fix that. Okay. All right, y'all. Nice, man. All right. Let's get it rebaited. I'm going to finish telling you the story here, I think. I don't think this bona fide kayak's going to work out for me, y'all. I think I just don't think it is. I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to try to show you some pictures. I've got the pictures on my phone. I'm going to try to show you and explain, because some of you out there, I know a lot of you have commented that you're interested in this build that I'm doing on the next kayak, and some of you have commented that you're very interested in this bona fide kayak when it comes out. And again, by the time this video releases, the kayak should be out in stores, as it should be, last I had heard, shipping out today as we're filming this. So let me get this back out here and I'm going to tell you all about it. There we go. We got another worm. I don't know about the other rod over there on the right. The line was acting funny. I don't know if we should check it or not. I'll probably just leave it out there for a few minutes. This middle rod here is doing us right, so we'll focus on it for now. I'm gonna put this stuff up. I'm gonna reset my poles. One of them come loose here. There we go. Okay, so anyway, I watched the videos on this bona fide, and I thought there was a lot of things I liked about it right away. I mean, as far as that type of kayak goes, I like fishing out of a kayak that's more like a kayak. This is more like well, it's a large kayak, but it's more of like a damn plastic boat, really, when you get right down to it. The size of these kayaks today have gotten ridiculous, but it's got an open floor plan. It's got a 360 seat. The front of it is raised up, so it's going to ride, the bow is going to ride a little higher, so if you're in rougher water, you got a bow mount, you're not going to take as much water over the front. If you do take water over the front, it's got scupper holes kind of in the upper sides, I guess you will, so it's going to drain better. Like, it's just, what the hell is that behind? Oh, it's horses. There's horses behind. I thought, what the hell is that behind me over there? Something had me. Oh, there was a big carp jumped out there. There's horses behind me, though. Look right here. Left rod. Left rod was getting tugged. Something pulled on it. I'm going to leave it be for a minute. But anyhow, I thought the bona fide kayak it seemed like a lot of thought had been put into the layout of it and how it was going to handle the weight of the motor, how it was going to handle the weight of the battery. And that's important for somebody like me, you know, catfishing. We're going to have, once you add the motor, you obviously got to have a battery to power it with. So you got your motor weight, you've got your battery weight. Lord Almighty, we got, maybe that wasn't a horse I heard out here. I mean, I saw the horse, but maybe it was a person, because now somebody's back here shooting. I hope they ain't shooting toward the water. Y'all call the law if I get shot. I may be incapacitated and not be able to use my phone. They might be shooting at them daggone meth heads up there, cooking meth on their property. I've got totally brain distracted here. I'm having a brain cramp. Getting fired at, and it's broke my train of thought. Oh, the bona fides. Anyway, I liked how it was laid out, how the thought was put into how it's going to support the motor weight and the battery weight. Because when you're catfishing, aside from the motor and battery weight, we've also got our bait coolers. And I don't care if you're using, like, I've got this Yeti here behind me, which is, I think it's 20-something pounds without any ice or bait in it. But even if you're using a lighter weight, like igloo type cooler, once you add your ice and you add your bait, especially, it's not, maybe not so much on a local trip, like if you're just taking enough bait to fish a single day at your local lake or river. But for me, I'm going to be taking this kayak on the road, traveling to these tournaments and stuff. So I need to be able to really pack a cooler with a lot of bait. And so, hell, my cooler weight will probably be 60, 70 pounds time you pack in the ice and the bait and the weight of the cooler itself. Like, it's a lot of weight. And so the kayak's got to be able to support that in addition to my body weight, the motor, the battery, and then the other wild card in this that people don't think about when they're calculating like weight capacity of kayaks is how big a fish are you going to catch? If you've got all that stuff in your kayak plus your body weight, and then you catch a 50-pound fish and you bring it in, where are you at then? So this kayak has a very high weight capacity. A lot of thought was put into supporting the motor weight and battery, all that. So immediately I thought, okay, this was probably the kayak for me. And I watched the videos, the promotional videos that Bonafide had done, and I'm like, this looks like what I want. But since then, I haven't seen this. I didn't go to ICAST. I don't go to ICAST. It's not my cup of tea. So I've not seen this thing in person. All I've seen is pictures online and the video that Bonafide had put out. Since then, they have put out some more pictures on their social media. And I looked at those pictures and I was like, oh no. I don't know how I'm going to be able to mount rod holders securely to this thing. So I'm going to take my phone here, and I hope this may be a disaster, me trying to use this camera to film my phone to try to show you what exactly it is that I'm trying to explain. But I've saved this picture. Okay. Let me take my glasses off so I can see the camera lens. And bear with me a second here, y'all. I've got problems. I don't know how well this is going to show up. So this was on the Bonafide social media. Shout out to them and whoever this fella is here. I guess one of their pro staffers. So this is the side view of this kayak. And here's some problems I'm noticing right away as far as mounting rod holders to this thing. Okay, let me zoom in here a little more if I can. I hope y'all can see. This may be a complete disaster of a filming segment here if y'all can't see what I'm talking about. So, for this style of kayak, what I want to do, I want to put some rod holders in front of the seat and I want to put some rod holders behind the seat, just like I have here on this kayak. You know, I got them front and behind, okay? I don't know how you're going to mount rod holders on the front of this thing, because right here in front of the seat, you see how, for some reason, the gunnels of the kayak, they're not straight across. They go down at a slant, at an angle. I don't know why they would do that. That doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it's something structural related, but you're not going to be able to mount rod holders there because it's going to be at an angle. And that area is not wide enough to mount a rod holder base anyway. And there's no gear track right there on that part. So there's no way to mount a rod holder directly to the kayak. Now, normally in that situation, what I would do is make like a cross beam, whether it's a 2x4 or a metal rod, whatever, and just mount. Like I done that, for instance, on my Old Town autopilot kayak I had a few years back, and I had done it on my native Ultimate kayak that I had years ago. The very first video on my channel was that kayak. I put a piece of a board, laid it across the gunnels, and bolted it through, right? And then I put my rod holders on the board. You can't do that here because your board's going to be laying at a slant. It's never going to work. And then you think, well, okay, well, you've got this big standing area here. This is one of the things, the features they're touting on this kayak is this big standing platform, right? Well, again, you can't mount rod holders to that because this hatch, it flips up. It's a storage area under there. So you can't, this area here, you see where this guy's got his graphs mounted in the center? There's some gear tracks there. Maybe you could rig something up to mount your rod holders there, but they're going to be too close together. And the sides here, you can't, you'll never be able to bolt a rod holder through back here. It's not wide enough for the rod holder base. And if you run a cross beam across this platform, then you can't open that up to get the hatch. So I don't know how you're going to mount rod holders on the front of this kayak. Like I'm struggling to figure, maybe when I see it in person, I'll be able to brainstorm and figure out a solution. But right now, I don't know how I'm going to be able to put rod holders up here. The other thing I noticed right away about the front of this thing is for our catfishing tournaments, we measure fish. We lay them on a measuring board, snap a picture, blah, 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 blah. It's catch, photo, release tournaments. Where are you going to put the measuring board? You can't put it here in front of the seat like I would ideally like to because of that slant. The fish is going to slide. He's not going to be able to set right. So you're going to have to put the board on the standing platform, which that may be okay. Okay, I don't know. You know, I don't know until we get the kayak and set in it and see what it's like. That may or may not be okay. But it's just one of them things I noticed right away. Like I can't put the board there for sure. This is useless, wasted space right there that I can do nothing with. So then you go back to the back of this kayak and you think, okay, well, I'll slide the seat as far forward as I can and turn around and fish off the back. That's one of the things I want to be able to do anyway. Well, and this may not show up well on this picture, but hopefully I can describe it to you. So on the sides of this kayak, maybe you see it a little better here, there's a trough right here. And that is designed so that you can lay rods right there and have them go up here between that hatch or that standing platform and the gunnels. Like rod tip protectors right there, right? There is so much wasted space right there. Nobody, like this guy here in the picture, the pro staffer, he's got a live scope mounted there. So you can't even lay rods down anyway. Who the hell lays rods down horizontally in the kayak anyway, unless you're fishing a small river with overhanging trees? And this ain't the kind of kayak you're going to take out in that situation. So you're going to have your kayak stored just like this guy does in the picture, behind your seat, standing up. So this is wasted space. But because that's there, where are you going to mount your rod holders even back here? Now, you've got more gear track where the seat sits, right? So in theory, you could lay a board or a rod rack type situation, screw it into the gear tracks, like a cross beam, and then have your rod holders mounted to it. That might work. But because they have got this damn slanted area here, you can't really slide the seat up much further than what he currently has it here in this picture. So look behind him. You've got your battery sitting there. I'm going to have the battery sitting in the back of the kayak because of the weight of the motor in the front. Then imagine where his crate is at. I'm going to have my bait cooler. So maybe slide him forward a few more inches and picture him turned around fishing backwards. You don't have any room. You have no room to put your feet just because of the dimensions of where you can position the seat and the fact of the slant there. Like, by the time you put your battery, that's the only area you're going to be able to mount rod holders, at least I think, and then put your cooler. Well, unless you put your cooler up here in front of you, I don't know. But I'm really concerned that I'm not going to be able to securely mount rod holders to this thing. I'm very concerned about it. I definitely don't think I can put anything up here, which is going to limit me. You know, I like suspend fishing, okay? That's my favorite way. Is this line slack over here? Maybe it's just the wind. The wind picked up all of a sudden here. I like suspend fishing. Y'all know this, regular viewers. That's my favorite way to fish. Now, when I'm in my pedal kayak, it's kind of my grab and go, my basic rig, keep things simple set up. In that kayak, I fish 2 rods. So when I suspend a net, 2 lines down, that's plenty. But for a tournament rig, which is what I want this kayak to be, I don't want to be limited to 2 rods. I want to be able to have 2 in the front and 2 in the back and suspend 4 lines at once. I don't know how I'm going to do that with this kayak. And so, you know, if I was somebody like, you take my friend Ryan Bortz there, right? He hates suspending. He never suspends unless he's fishing with me and he's kind of forced to be on, you know, for us to be able to talk and close range to each other for video purposes. But outside of that, he don't suspend. He hates it. He would rather be dragging or bumping. Both of those things, as long as you could mount a rod holder behind you, or a rod rack behind you on the kayak, you just fish off, he fishes off the back of his kayak 99.9% of the time. So he wouldn't be affected by that necessarily. But somebody like me, if I can't have rod holders in front of me and behind me, then I'm not going to be able to space 4 rods suspended that's not going to be all tangled up together. And so I'm very concerned about this, man. Like, I didn't notice that, which I feel stupid the fact I didn't notice it watching the videos when it first come out, because I know, I mean, I've rigged so many kayaks now through the years. I know how important it is to be able to rig rod holders securely. I don't know how I'm going to do it with this kayak, because I mean, this kayak, it bona fide caters to bass fishermen, okay? And that's the largest demographic of people who buys fishing kayaks, is bass fishermen. So it makes sense. I mean, of course, they're not going to cater to us. We don't move the needle when it comes to sales on kayaks, okay? And nobody's going to build. I've got this before when I've talked about fishing kayaks in the past and trying to rig them and stuff. Somebody will always comment and say, well, Justin, why don't you go to one of these companies and have them make you the kayak you want, have a kayak catfishing specific platform? And the answer is, well, it wouldn't be worthwhile for the companies. It'd be worthwhile for me, certainly, but for the companies, there's just not a big enough market at the present time to make it worth their while. They're going to spend $100,000 easy on the mold, not to mention the engineering, the development, and all that would go into making the kayak. So, you know, if you're going to take on those kind of costs, you've got to have a big customer base to be able to offset the cost and make enough profit to make it worthwhile. There's not enough people into kayak catfishing to make it worthwhile for any of those companies. So that's the answer to that. Like that, nobody's going to make us at the present time, 2024, it ain't going to happen in 2025. Nobody's going to make us a kayak specifically for kayak catfishing. It will not happen. Maybe someday, but not today. So we kind of have to work with what is currently available. And I had high hopes for that Bonafide, and I want to see it in person, just to get a look at it. I think, you know, I'm looking at pictures. When I see it in person, sit down in it, you know, get up in the hatch, feel around there. How far can I get my arm back there? You know, where are the gunnels wide enough to support me drilling in and putting a bolt through? Stuff like that, I'm not going to be able to fully know until I see it. But right now, I'm very concerned that it's not going to work out. So as soon as Raccoon Creek Outfitters gets it in stock, I will probably head up there, take a look at it. Now, here's the fortunate thing about Raccoon Creek Outfitters. In addition to being a Bonafide dealer, they are also a NuCanoe dealer. And my backup choice, even though I hate to support that company after the experience I had with them, the Raccoon Creek does sell the NuCanoe Unlimited. And I've got enough friends who have the NuCanoe Unlimited that I know I could mount rod holders both in front of me and behind me. I like the layout of the NuCanoe. I just don't like the company. And I don't like the inconsistency they have had in the quality of their kayaks. Some people get kayaks and they are fine. They have zero issues. But then you scroll through social media and you take a look and you'll find as many people that's had good experiences, you'll find people that's had bad experiences. Like I had with the other one where the plastic's super thin and the floor flexes and warps because it's so thin. And it's just, you know, there's just inconsistencies. Now, supposedly, I don't know this to be fact, but I've heard a couple people say this, so I should probably look it up to see if it's true. But supposedly, NuCanoe moved their operation to the same factory that makes the Bonafide kayaks and native kayaks. Whatever that warehouse manufacturer is, they moved their mold, this is what I've been told. They moved their molds there, so it's the same company making native and Bonafide. It's also now making NuCanoe. If that's the case, that should help the cause with at least the consistency of the quality of the NuCanoe kayaks. Because to my knowledge, I've not heard anybody complain about. I had a native kayak years back when I started this channel. The first kayak that I filmed in was the Native Ultimate, and I had that kayak since. It was a 2007 model Native Ultimate that I'm pretty sure I bought in 2009 or 10. And so I had that kayak I used it for like 6 years. And man, I took that thing on. I never had any problems out of the quality of that thing. I rubbed a hole in the stern keel. I had to patch it, but that wasn't because it was poor quality. It was because I just drug it over so many gravel roads and asphalt of the boat ramps that it just eventually wore through, and I had to patch it, easy peasy. But as far as like developing stress cracks from where the seat goes or other weak spots in the hull, I've not heard of anybody complaining of native or Bonafide having problems like that. So hopefully that will fix the issues with NuCanoe being just manufactured in the same place. But I can already tell you, the NuCanoe kayaks they're thinner by nature as far as the plastic goes than a lot of the other kayaks on the market. You look at the weight, okay? This new Bonafide XTR 130 kayak. Compare that to the NuCanoe Unlimited. The dimensions of the kayak are virtually the same, within a foot or so. I think the XTR 130, I think it's like 12 foot 9 inches. The NuCanoe Unlimited, I believe, is 12 foot even, somewhere thereabouts. So The Bonafide is a few inches longer, and I think they're both like 40 inches wide or 41 inches wide, something like that. So surface area of the kayaks, they're almost comparable. The Bonafide, however, weighs 170 pounds. The NuCanoe, don't quote me, I think it weighs like 80 or 85 pounds. So double the weight for the Bonafide. So that's where the extra weight comes in. It's the thickness of the hull. The thicker the hull of the plastic, the more durable it's going to be. The better quality it's going to be. The less likely you're going to have weak spots or flexing or warped floors or just random stress cracks. You know what I mean? Like, when you got a kayak that's double the weight, I would assume it's damn near double the thickness of plastic. So that's a concern for me. Even if I get a NuCanoe that's good quality out the gate, the volume of days that I will use it, the number of concrete boat ramps, and just the wear and tear, not me trying to damage it, not me, I don't go out, I try to take care of my stuff. I try to protect my gear. I want it to last. But just the volume of days that I fish in a given year, that puts stress on the products I use, just normal wear and tear. And so I have a lot of concerns as bad as I hate to support that company, if I gave in and got one, would that kayak hold up to the wear and tear that I would put it through? I don't know. So I don't know what's going to happen, honestly. I've got that new motor. I've already bought it. I could rig up a mount and put it here on the Hobie, but the motor I bought is significantly more heavy. It's about 15 pounds heavier than the motor I've got on here, this Motor Guide XI3. This kayak here doesn't do well with that weight. Imagine now adding 15 pounds more to the front, like it's a recipe for disaster, except on the calmest of conditions. And, the whole purpose of me switching kayaks was going to be so that when we show up to a tournament and the wind kicks up, I don't sink the damn thing. So this situation with the Alabama tournament we just had, where I was going to leave the day before the tournament to drive down there, when the weather report is terrible, I can call an audible and just say, you know what, I'm going to set this one out, play the fair weather fisherman, kick back, watch football all weekend. That's fine. But let's say we're fishing somewhere and I've traveled a much longer distance and I'm there a few days in advance. I've already made the commitment travel, and then the weather changes and you've got high winds or whatever. In those situations, then you got to just play the hand you're dealt, and I need a kayak that can play that hand too. So I don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, I've not made a financial commitment to the Bonafide. I've spoke with the owner there of Raccoon Creek. Again, he's a trail sponsor of our tournament series. I want to support his business because he is supporting our tournaments. Raccoon Creek and Catfish Sumo chipped in a lot of money to our tournament trail so that we have guaranteed minimum prizes there. And they, I want to support those companies. I want to support the companies that support what I love doing. So, I've spoken with the owner of Raccoon Creek. I've basically reserved one of those Bonafides of the first shipment they get, but I've not made a financial commitment to it because I didn't put a deposit down because I wanted to look at it in person first before making a final commitment. So I'm going to go up there whenever they get them in, and if I like it, I'm going to bring it home. If I don't like it, then I guess I'll have them rig me up a NuCanoe because they sell both. So, you know, it's either way, I'm probably going to come home with a new kayak, but unless they just happen to be out of the new canoe or something. You never know. I didn't ask about that. But I'm concerned, man. I'm really concerned. Rigging kayaks to have secure rod holders is the biggest challenge with kayak catfishing. You have to have, especially when you're suspend fishing. There was something come up right out there in front of our middle rod. We're going to give it a couple more minutes here, and then I'm going to reel everything in and freshen everything up, because we've went a while without a bite now, so I'm going to spruce everything up here in a few minutes. But I saw a fish just then come up in front of that middle rod, so he's in the area. We'll give it a couple minutes. But rigging rod holders so that they don't get ripped off the kayak, because when I suspend fish, and I use circle hooks, the fish has to feel the pressure of that fish loading up the rod is going to cause that circle hook to turn and hook them. So you have to keep your hooks, or I mean your drag, pretty tight in the rod holder for that to happen. If you leave them loose and then you try cranking down on the fish, that works sometimes, but you don't get nearly as good a hookup percentage as what you do if you keep your drags tight enough to set the hook and let the fish do the work themselves. But when you're suspend fishing, let's say you're suspending bait, you're 30 feet deep. Well, you got about 28 feet of line out. So when a big fish hits and slams that rod, like, buddy, there's a lot of torque there. There's a lot of pressure on that rod. And that rod the energy gets transferred to the rod holder and to the base. And man, if you've got that thing, if you ain't got it bolted in, like, that's why I don't like gear tracks, putting rod holders in gear tracks, because you're putting all that stress on the gear tracks that's not made for it. And a lot of these gear tracks on these kayaks, you know, they're designed to hold the weight of a fish finder or a camera mount or a cup holder. They're not made to withstand the torque of a 40, 50, 60 pound fish putting downward pressure on a rod. And so because of that, these gear tracks, most of them are just they're just screwed in, they're riveted in, they're not bolted through. So as you get that flex, that torque constantly, fish after fish after fish, over time those gear tracks work loose. And it's a matter of time, man. It's a matter of time. You're going to lose a whole rod holder, everything overboard. It's going to happen. You've got to securely mount them on. And depending on the model of the kayak, it can be a challenge. My Old Town kayak, my other pedal kayak there, at least the front of it anyway, very easy, because I can get up in the front hatch. You got a nice flat area there. Mount your rod holder bases and be able to bolt them through. Easy on that kayak, the front anyway. Now the back of the kayak, forget about it. Again, you don't have any flat areas there other than the gear tracks, which I don't want to do. But the front's easy. Now you take a kayak like this is the Hobie Pro Angler I'm in today. This one was also a challenge. And we're going to bait up here when I'm done showing you this. This was also a challenge when I got this kayak, because you've got this, they call it the H-rail, but it's a rail system here. And Hobie makes mounts that clamp on, and I'm going to try to see, well, okay, this will be a better look here, the cup holder. So Hobie makes these clamp mounts that go on here and work around the rail. It's like a octagon, hexagon, something. It's got all these sides, and this grips it and holds it in place. Fine for cup holders, fine for fish finders, camera mounts, whatever. You got a rod holder though, this will give. And I tried it out, like, it will spin, it will flex if you get some torque on it. So that wasn't going to work. So I ended up I DIY'd it. I took a wooden board, got some U-bolts, secured the board to the kayak that way, And the board stretches down beyond the rail down here on the kayak. So when the rod goes down, the pressure goes to the rod holder, to the base, to the board. The board then presses against the kayak. And so this is held up now for 5 years. It's worked well. And then, of course, I bolt the rod holder bases through the board itself. So this has been solid. This has worked out. But I had to DIY this because of these rails. And so, again, every kayak you get, there's some form of jimmy rigging on it to make it suitable to securely mount rod holders. But the Bonafide, I don't know. This new, man, I just don't know. I don't know how we're going to do it. At least not front and back. And that's very important to me. It's very important to me to have front and back rod holders. I want both because, depending on how I'm fishing, what I'm doing that particular, we ain't got no worm on here. We've been fishing on credit on that one. God almighty, I've done it again. Hell, we've lost one of our pieces of corn too. Here's a better look at that hair rig stop. You see that little piece of plastic there? I wonder how we lost one piece of fake corn off there, but we didn't lose the hair stop. Boy, the mysteries, unsolved mysteries here. We need Robert Stack on the case. 1980s Unsolved Mysteries, one of the creepiest. No disrespect to Robert Stack or his family, but that was a creepy show. He was one of the creepiest human beings that I ever saw as a child. Always used to freak me out. My grandma would watch that show, and it come on at night, so it was right before I would go to bed, and it freaked me out. I couldn't hardly sleep because of Robert Stack, especially when they would do the ghost mysteries and stuff. Probably part of the reason why I'm still so terrified of ghosts today. My number one fear in life is a ghost. I've got a real phobia. Put another worm on here. We're gonna spruce up everything. It's been a while since we've got a bite. I've seen that fish come up out there in front of the middle rod, so we know there's fish there. We'll just spruce it all up. The wind is blowing now a little bit, so when these crumbs, when the bread hits the water there, some of that pops off, that scent will get pushed further back in this creek from where the wind is blowing. So I hope the wind don't start blowing any more than it is now, but it at least is blowing enough to get us a little scent dispersion. That's not going to hurt our cause for sure. Well, hell, the worm's gone on this one too as my reel handle about falls off. We've been fishing on credit, man. I don't know how we got robbed like that. Y'all wasn't paying attention. Need Daphne the dog out here to be guard dog and let us know when something like that's going on. I'd never be able, there's no way in hell I could ever get Daphne in this kayak. No way. She'd see a squirrel and be gone, buddy. Or she'd see them meth heads up there at the camper as we're coming in the creek. She'd want to go visit them, and then I'd have to get out the kayak to go after her, and then they'd end up thinking I'm a cop walking up on them and shooting me or something. Daphne'd get me killed. Dang old dog. I feel bad for her. She's got pink eye in both eyes right now. I think I'm gonna have to take her to the vet. I got some ointment at the store specifically for pink eye, and I read the reviews, and the reviews are really good on it, but it's helped It's not, her pink eye doesn't seem to be as bad, but it's still, I mean, we're several days in and it's still, we're seeing improvement, but we're not seeing as much improvement as I would like. And part of that may just be the fact that I don't know how much of that medicine I'm actually getting in there. It's an ordeal. My channel members see Daphne all the time. Oh hell, this worm's gone too, man. Something got all 3 rods. We got robbed. All 3 rods. Not one single one has a worm on it. Unreal. Once, I understand. 3 bear hooks, that's crazy. You know what I bet happened? I was showing you all that picture on the phone. I wasn't looking at the rods. I bet we got picked clean while I was not paying attention. One of y'all should have kept your eyes on the rods. I swear I can't count on you for nothing. I think you just sabotage me is what it is, just so I make a fool of myself on these videos. But Daphne, my channel members see her on the channel members' videos, and she's a very energetic dog. To say it nicely, she's wild. Very strong, very fast, as evidenced by all the times I've raced her on the bike on video. When we do that every day too, by the way. We play bicycle every day at home. That's how we run the energy out of her. But she doesn't like me giving her medicine. My last dog, Roscoe, was the calmest, gentlest dog probably in the history of the world. Roscoe, if memory serves me, I know he had it at least once or twice, maybe more than that, throughout his lifespan, pink eye. But when I would have to doctor his eyes, he would sit there, calm as can be. I could pull his lower eyelid down and just work that ointment in there right up under that lower eyelid. And he would just sit there calm as can be while I did it. And so when he got pink eye, it didn't take very long to resolve. Daphne, as soon as she sees me put a glove on, she's gone crazy, man. I mean, I gotta put this dog, folks, like she ain't gonna do nothing calmly. I have to get this dog in a Japanese stranglehold and lay across her body. I mean, I've got her like in a damn headlock here, like you'd see in a UFC match, with one arm, and then my body laying across her, and then with the other hand, trying to get this medicine in her eye without gouging her eyeballs out, because there's no way, like, she is not going to sit there calmly to put that medicine where it needs to go. So I'm just trying to work it into her eyeball there best I can. So I don't know how much is actually getting in there, let alone the fact that I've got this ointment from the pet store versus getting a prescription. So I don't know. Boy, it's been a battle. That's why I was wide awake getting out here this morning, because I'm doing this ointment 3 times a day. So I had to do that before I come out here, and I'll tell you, she's only 54 pounds, but she's fast, she's twitchy, and she don't like being in a headlock. So it's I should film myself trying to do this, because you all would enjoy that show. It's an ordeal, man. I feel bad for her, though. She got it in the one, she come home, I think she got it at the vet, or I went down there to Alabama to pre-fish, and I took her to the vet to be boarded. That's the only place she could have got it at. That's the only dog she's been around. It's down there at the vet. So I'm assuming that's where she got it, because a few days after that's when the symptoms started happening. Started out with some drainage in one eye, and then got real red, and then I guess it spread to the other eye, and so now she's got it in both eyes. So instead of putting her in a headlock and doctoring one eye, now we're doing two. So it's been a battle. I feel bad for her though, but we're gonna see. I'm maybe give it another day or so and see if it'll just continue to improve. But I'm gonna take her to the vet, and either I don't think they can do like a shot or a pill or anything for pink eye. I think it's got to be the ointment. I think. I don't know. But at the very least, they're going to have to show me a better way of getting that medicine in there. And they deal with that kind of thing all the time. Unruly, uncooperative dogs. I just got so spoiled, I guess, with my last dog, Roscoe, because he was so easy with that. The only thing I ever had problems with Roscoe was giving him his pills for the flea and heartworm stuff. He never would. He started out taking pills fine. And then once, I guess, over time, he figured out it was medicine, he wouldn't take it no more. So then you started kind of having to put it in food. You'd work it into a hamburger or a hot dog or something. And Roscoe loved food so much, he would just gobble it down. He'd eat a treat, wouldn't even taste it. He'd swallow it whole, basically. He loved food so much. But over time, even that didn't work anymore, because he would know that there was medicine in it and he wouldn't eat it. So I got to a point with him where I had to shove the pills down, like I would get his head between my legs and basically squeeze on his jaw, and he would open his mouth a little bit, and I'd take the pill and just shove it down. That's how we did the last couple years of his life. That's what we had to do to get his flea and heartworm medicine down him. But when it come to stuff like pink eye, putting medicine in his eyes, easy peasy. When it come to, he had some ear infections some time to time, you doctor that, no problems whatsoever. But Daphne, buddy, she don't want to do anything. Thankfully, when it comes to pills, well, here's what we've been doing with her pills, because she won't take pills from me either, but I take her down to my parents' house. And Daphne's not big on food rewards, like treats and stuff. I think a lot of dogs are very food motivated. Roscoe, he certainly was. Daphne, I can give her a treat. She'll eat it. She'll sniff it a little while and then finally eat it. But like, she's not food motivated. It's like, she's way more into toys. Like if you give her a new toy, a new stuffed animal, like she's way more excited about that than she is a treat. So what I have to do is take her to my parents' house, and my mom will because my parents have a dog too. It's a different, I don't know what kind of breed their dog is, but it's comparable size to Daphne, and their dog is very jealous of Daphne, and Daphne gets very jealous if their dog's getting more attention. There's a competitiveness there. And so in that situation, if one of them is potentially going to get another treat that the other one isn't, then they just gobble them down. And so my mom can work Daphne, cut up Daphne's heartworm pill and flea and tick and all that, and work it into some treats and give both dogs treats, basically, and Daphne will gobble it down real quick to keep the other dog from getting it. And it works out. That's how we give her medicine, at least for now, pill-wise. But as far as doing anything else to her, boy, it's something else, man. There was another fish right out there. I saw him. We've got fish out here in front of our baits, man. There are some fish here. I don't know how many, but we've seen some come up, and boy, them two carp we got, man, those are really good quality. It's quality over quantity today. I do wonder though, like I'm not a carp expert, as evidenced by my gear, my rigs, all that. Like, people tell me all the time I suck and don't know what I'm doing. That's internet 2024, regardless of what you're doing, whether you know what you're doing or not. But I fully admit I don't have a clue, man. I've found a rig and setup that works well for me. I catch a lot of fish with it, and so I stick with it. But I'm not an expert on carp, the fish, the species. I don't really know. I've caught fish in creeks spring through fall. I've not really tried carp fishing in the winter, but spring through fall, there is fish in creeks every day. And I've been able to catch them. But I don't know as far as, I mean, in the spring, there's certainly more fish in the creeks when they're moving up to spawn. There's a ton of them. And then they kind of taper off through the summer and whatnot. But there's always some in there. I don't know if there's another movement in the fall where when the water starts to cool, fish, because you see that with other fish species. When the water starts to cool, a lot of them fish that were deep will move up shallow. Catfish, for instance, in the fall months will start moving shallow a lot more frequently and stay in there longer. I don't know if it's like that with carp or not. If it is, and we're, mid-September here now, water temps are still warm, but they are starting to cool a smidge. The days are getting shorter. I mean, heck, this morning, I didn't leave my house till almost 7 o'clock. Because it don't get daylight now till like 7:15-ish, I guess. So, it's just, and that, I don't mind that either. Get to sleep in a little longer and still fish sunrise. I'm perfectly content with that. In June, around the longest daylight hours of the year, hell, I got to get up about 4:30 to be able to make it to the water and be set up by sunrise. So I like being able to sleep in a little bit longer, especially if I was up late watching ball games. But I don't know about the carp, man. I don't know if it's a situation where more of them move in as the water starts to cool, or if, for whatever reason, we're just on some good quality fish today. The last time I fished here, I can't remember when it was, probably about a month ago, I got some good quality carp in here. I don't think they were as good a quality as what we've got today, but they were, above average of what I normally get. I'm about to get another one right here, right here. It's on. Oh, it's been a while too. I'm happy to have him, man. The drought on the carp is going to continue because this is a cat. I saw him come up out there. I don't know what kind of cat, but it's a cat. I saw the silver. I'm still happy to have him as long as it ain't a channel cat, because it'd been a while since we got a bite. We were in a little drought. Part of that drought was probably because y'all let these fish strip the hooks clean, and we was sitting out there with bare hooks, minus the fake corn that was on. I'm a believer in the worms, man. I don't even know if I would want to go carp fishing without worms at this point. That's how much confidence I've developed in them, for both numbers and quality and size. Now, you do get more catfish with the worms, and you certainly get more turtles with the worms than you do of just using a plastic bait on a hair rig. But I mean, I've caught a lot of fish on the worms now. This is a bigger blue than that first one we got today. Still what I would consider a dink, but Definitely bigger than that first one, this first thing this morning. Come here, blue kitty. Oh, middle rod, or second rod. Is he on? He pulled it. I'm gonna set this back in the rod holder a second and check this one. This one got, yeah, he's got it. Yeah, he's swimming with it. No, he ain't no more. He ain't no more. He was swimming with it and I picked up and he was gone. Well, diddly-do, man. Maybe that was our problem with sitting out there without bait. As soon as we get bait back out, we got fish biting again. Let's get this one unhooked. We're going, except for that rod on the right. I don't know what it is about that rod on the right. Just can't get bit on it. At least not today anyway, and that's happened before. There we go. Yeah, this cat here, dink, you know, bigger dink than this morning, but just a long, skinny fish. He's happy to get out of here as he splashes his way out. Well, let's get our net out the way. We're going to rebait. I don't know what it was on that rod on the left. Could have been anything. Either way, he's gone now. But we know there's fish out there, by gosh. We know it. Now we just gotta get a bait in front of their face and hope we don't get it stolen right off the hook. The mango, I don't know if it's helping or hurting our cause, but it's another one of those fruits that we were going to try today. As this is all wrapped up here. Let's see. Okay, now we got that. There we go. Get your worms out here again, folks. Well, it'll be about out of this tub. Still got our night crawlers down there. That's another thing with using these worms this year. I like the red worms better than the night crawlers because you get better value. You get more of them for less cost than the night crawlers. Now you can cut your night crawlers in half and basically get double the worms, but you don't have to fool with all that with the red worms, and you get so many more. So definitely a believer in the red worms, but gotta have, I mean, I've gotten so much confidence now in the worms for carp. Like, I don't see a reason at this point with the number of fish we've caught. I mean, not today necessarily, but you know, just since we've been really focusing on using worms, the number of carp and the number of buffalo that we've caught, I don't see a reason why not to have it on your rigs. Like, I mean, there's just, maybe there's a time of year or whatever. I mean, in the spring, when fish are spawning, I don't think you necessarily need a worm in that situation because they're just so aggressive when you see them up like thrashing around on the banks and stuff. Like when that's happened, and man, that bites on. So I think it's just a matter, they think they're so hungry, so willing to eat that they'll pretty much eat anything. But the rest, I mean, I just don't see a reason otherwise to not have a worm on there. At least if you're an amateur carp fisherman like me, if you're professional, you wouldn't be caught dead using a worm. Got to have some kind of fancy boilie on your hair rig with nothing on the hook. So I'm gonna reel, while we're rebaiting those two, let's just reel this one in and check it. Make sure your worm didn't get stolen off here again. Well, it did. We're missing a worm. I don't know how they keep getting the worm on this rod without us noticing. I don't know how they do it. Y'all need to pay more attention to this right rod, I reckon. This panko, man, again, I've been using the soybean meal for the last several carp trips. This panko, it just is so much easier to deal with. I mean, so much easier. Like, it's night and day difference. Since this one don't have anything on the hook, I mean the hair rig anyway, let's get one of these night crawlers out of here. Let's put a big worm on this one. Look at that thing right there, man. One of them old Canadian night crawlers, buddy. The Canadians, they grow them big. Them suckers right there are full grown. We got our money's worth out of them worms, man. That thing looks like a daggone snake. That's what she said. All right. We're back in business again. Get our worms put up. Get our pack bait put up. I still ain't cleaned this kayak, y'all. I washed my other one the other day. This one here I ain't washed. I'm gonna try to just wash it. When I eventually get a different, well, no matter which kayak I get, assuming I end up doing it, I'm pretty confident I'm gonna either get the bona fide or break down and get the new canoe. But when that happens, assuming I don't just absolutely hate it, I'm going to end up selling this kayak. I won't have a need for it at that point. And so I would like to wait until I'm about to sell it and get it all cleaned up. If I clean it, and then it takes me 2 or 3 weeks, a month, however long, to get the new kayak and get it all rigged up and everything, well, then I'd get this one dirty again right before I sell it, and I'd have to clean it a second time. So, did that middle rod just get tapped? I thought it got a little tug. Maybe I imagined it. I gotta get me a swig. Bear with me, folks. I gotta get a swig. Person, get the cotton mouth talking to you. Here's an interesting question I'd had the other day. Might be of interest to some of you all who are kind of into carp fishing or maybe catfishing from the bank. One of the main pieces of gear that carp fishermen use and some cat fishermen who fish from the bank use are bait runner reels. And bait runner reels, if you're not familiar with them, they have 2 drag systems essentially, in a sense. Oh, middle. Okay, he's after that middle rod again. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We're hooked up again. I think this is what we want right here. Okay, I think this here is more of what we're looking for, folks. This is what we came here for. I sure hope we get a buffalo today, too. I finally got one on that last trip, on the panko of all things. But that was the first one in ages. Oh, he swam to the left. I don't think he got none of the line, though. He must have went right over it. We've had some fairly good luck with fish not tangling. That first one, or that first carp. Oh, did he just come? Okay, there he is. I thought he come off. He must have run me over something. But we've had pretty good luck overall with the tangles. Thus far, anyway. There he goes again. This one's pulling, man. He don't want to come over here and see you all. He says you got bad breath. He says he's heard you got a gingivitis. He ain't having it. Nobody wants to smell the breath of somebody with gingivitis. That's got to be the worst thing about being a dentist or a dental, especially the dental hygienist, because they're in your mouth there for a while, hovering over while they clean your teeth and stuff. Like, you get somebody that got just bad breath. Maybe they got a dentist appointment after lunch and they ate some onions or garlic or something. Can you imagine just having to hover over their face and breathe all the time? That'd be terrible. Ain't got a good, it's a carp. Okay, I saw his orange then. Can't really get a good look at the size of him yet, but I did see the orange. Yeah, this one here ain't gonna be as big as the other ones we caught, but that's okay. It's another bite. It was exciting to see the rod go down and the drag start pulling. What do you want to bet this will be a little bit more? Even though he ain't as big as the other, he'll probably be more wild once we get him in here. Look at that. Man, I've done a good job netting these fish today. I'm getting better at this. You know what though? Hell, I get him inside the kayak here and get a better look at him. I'm like, that's a pretty good fish. That's a pretty good fish right there. He just threw that hook in me. Let's get that out of it. Thanks for unhooking yourself, fish. That's a pretty good one, man. He's much bigger than what I thought when I first looked at him. Let me set you all back up here. He got a little water on the lens, but I don't think it's going to affect the view. I'm gonna hold him up. Easy, buddy, easy now, easy. Yeah, that's another pretty solid fish. I think this one probably is the smallest one so far, but there's been a lot of days where I don't get one this big. So, he said that's all the time I get. That fish right there, about $3.95 a minute, like Cleo's hotline. I didn't pay the bill. He's out of here, man. $3.95 a minute on that fish. So he only give us about 20 seconds. Old Cleo's hotline. I bet you some of y'all out there in internet land, y'all called Cleo at least once. I remember the commercials about old Cleo. And that crystal ball and the tarot cards she'd read and could tell your fortune. Maybe I need to call Cleo and ask her what kayak I need to get. You think she'd know? Cleo may be dead by now. Cleo was on TV when I was a kid, so Cleo may have left us. I'm gonna put more bait on here, get us another worm on, and I'm gonna tell you about these daggone reels that the fancy pants carp fishermen use. I've used them when I went on that trip down to Texas a couple of years ago. The fella I was fishing with down there had them. Because he's a real life carp fisherman and stuff. He's got all the fancy gear and gadgets and everything. And so he had them, and so I got to experience them, try them out, and see get some firsthand, and that's nice, honestly, to be able to do that versus buying the gear and going out and trying it and then not liking it or something and either being stuck with it or having to sell it at a loss. But the bait runner reels, essentially what you do, they've basically got two, like these here, these reels have one drag system. The bait runners, you can basically have two drag systems. The reel can be set up to where when a fish picks up the bait and runs, they can be sitting there real loose. And then you flip a switch and your drag is set where you want it to be for fighting the fish. Whereas like with the setup I got now, I loosen it down real loose when we got our baits out. And then once the fish picks it up and starts running, I tighten that drag throughout the fight. The bait runner reels make that process much easier, much simpler. And so all the professional carp fishermen, they use those. And they make really good quality reels. I mean, there's some really high dollar reels that are bait runner reels. The drawback to them, in my opinion, and this just comes down to personal preference type thing, to each their own. The drawback to those reels, in my opinion, though, is the size of them. The size of the reel in relation to the spool size of how much line you can fit on it. These, for instance, these are 4,000 size reels. And I can fit an adequate amount of line for my needs on these 4,000 size. To get a bait runner with that size of spool, the reel itself, the body of it, because you've got two different mechanisms at work. You know, this back part here, it's huge. It's just, they're really heavy and they're really bulky compared to a reel like I have here with that size of spool. It's just a heavier, bulkier reel. They're good quality, very functional for what we're doing here. I completely understand why people use them. As our left rod had a little tap. But for me, I don't like the extra weight and the extra bulk. It's just a personal preference thing. So, and since I'm not, you know, I'm more of a casual carp fisherman. I'm into it, but I'm not doing this all the time. I don't eat, sleep, and breathe it. I'm pretty much just coming out in these creeks and casting baits out. This setup's fine for me. Using the rod holders, loosening the drag, it works fine for me. Now, if I was fishing on the bank and I had the rod pods, well, in that situation, maybe you do need the bait runners to, you know, for the rod pod application. But I don't really. Oh, here we go. Another one. Let's tighten our drag just a smidge. See, like that right there, the fish will be running, and then we could flip the other switch and our drag would be where we wanted it. It would be at the appropriate drag amount that we would have determined before or whatever. Instead of me just having to like hand do the dial here. Which, I mean, it's what you get used to too. Like I don't even think about it anymore. I just crank down a little bit on it. It's not a big deal to me. But it's whatever you get used to. But the bait runner reels, they are bigger, they are heavier, and they're also more expensive. Now these reels here, I've had them, I don't know if I had these 2 years now, 3 years now. I'm wanting to say they were like $109, I think. 109 or 119. Maybe they're originally 119 and I got them for 109. Seems like I got them on sale. Or maybe they was 109 and I got them for 99. I can't remember. But they're around $100, give or take. The bait runner reels are typically, the ones I looked at anyway, are more expensive. But it's all on how you fish. I'm gonna go around this rod. This fish has come all the way over here. Let's just accommodate him. He wants to be landed over here. That's what we'll do. I aim to please. It is another carp. He's mad at us. I don't know why he's mad at me. I didn't do a damn thing to him. Unreal fish. We'll play him out a little bit too here. He can spin in circles until I'm ready to net him. This is another one that right now doesn't appear to be as big as the others, but I got a feeling I put him in the net and bring him in, he might suddenly grow. That seems to happen with carp. Come over here, good buddy. There you go. There you go. Yeah, this one here ain't quite as big as the other ones. Quality fish. Good quality fish. But with the bar being set so high today, there we go. Easy peasy, got that hook out. Now let's set you back up here. This fish, he pulled the pole. I keep pulling this pole out. This fish here, oh, he'll put me on his Instagram. I ain't putting this fish on mine. I don't hardly post anything on Instagram, as a matter of fact, but there he is. Sorry, fish, the sun's behind you. You got a shadow. Still a quality fish, man. That fish right there is probably, I don't know what. He's about to flop. I'm gonna get him out of here. But I mean, he's probably what, 5, 7 pound range in there. Oh man, that's a good time. That's a good time on this tackle. Put that pole down a little more too. Every time I shift my weight today, one of these poles is working free every time. That's another thing that I've got to consider with the new kayak is how am I going to mount my power poles for carp fishing? Give me a second here. Let me get this line back out and I will show you what I've done here to, I've jimmy rigged my power pole set up on this kayak. I'll show you how I've done it. It's real simple what I've done, but I mean, it is jimmy rigged together here. It's just what you got to do with kayak fishing. Way too much, unfortunately. One of these days, I'd like to have a kayak that's just ready to go right out the store. You go, you buy a new kayak, and it's just, you can take it right to the lake, be ready to fish. The way it is now, I get a kayak, I gotta put a lot of thought and effort into how I'm gonna rig everything on it. We got worms here. Oh, one left in here. Well, he's tiny too. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to use him. I'm just going to hook him once, because he ain't big enough to loop him around and hook him a second time. That's our last red worm, though. We'll be night crawling the rest of the morning here. But this power pole setup, I like the power poles for carp fishing, in a kayak anyway, because it keeps you stationary for the most part. We're not having a lot of side-to-side movement, so when we cast our baits out, they're sitting there. If the wind blows, the kayak stays still. If a fish takes off hard in one direction and it's pulling, the kayak stays still. And it does that because of how I got these things mounted behind me here on the sides. Got one on this side, and I got one on this side. Now, longer time viewers might remember when I first got these power poles, I had a mount that went on the back of the kayak, and they were kind of off at an angle on each side back there. I didn't like that. They were too close together. So when the wind would blow and you got a cross breeze coming, you would get and I don't know why I keep pointing the camera at my face here, you would get a weather vaning effect. Like it would want to spin, even though you had two poles down, it would still spin a little bit. And so you were getting this movement with your line. The other thing is, if you have a pole malfunction, for whatever reason, maybe your battery's dead, maybe you're stuck down in the mud it's stuck too much, you got to pull. Oh, speaking of pulling, well, this is an interesting bite here. He's on there, but he ain't pulling yet. Is this potentially another cat? Or is he just going to swim ever so gently toward us? Is what he's doing. I don't know what this is yet. I'm guessing a cat, but I don't know for sure. He just keeps coming at us. We didn't get the hard run. He's picked up a stick right here, y'all. Okay, there went the stick. Boy, he has come right at us the whole way. There was a big splash out there. Oh, that was the splash. We got another fish on. That was a big splash out there. Look right here, folks. This is a carp. It was a weird bite. He just comes straight at us the whole way. We've got another one on out there. If y'all's a fishing partner worth a crap, let's set that back on and pick this up. That was a big splash when he ate this bait. Y'all, we're doubled up and I can't get y'all to pick up a rod. What the hell's wrong with you? Boy, this other fish over here, he's gonna get wrapped in my anchor poles or my motor or something. Or maybe this other fish when he comes at me. Y'all could have done reeled him in and got him landed. This fish is coming right this way, man. Look at this. They're gonna swim circles around each other. This is gonna be a mess if this happens. Why won't y'all grab that other rod? Lord Almighty, grab it. What is this right here? I don't know what this is, but he's going crazy. I still ain't got a good look at him. There they go. They're wrapping circles around each other. Oh, this way. Okay, this way. Okay. Whew, that was close. Oh, that's a buffalo. That's a buffalo right there. Yes, y'all, we got a buffalo. Didn't know if it was going to happen today. But by gosh, it did. We switched back to panko, and imagine that. We get some daggone buffalo. We got to get one of them landed here. There we go. We got the buffalo before they swim laps around each other and cause us all kinds of problems. Yes. Yes, man. This tickles me right here, folks. Man, this is... Anytime I get a buffalo, he ain't that big. I don't even care. Yeah, I feel like it's an accomplishment anytime I get one because they're just so difficult to get around here. For me, anyway. Let me get this hook out of him. Okay, there he goes. I'm going to put y'all up here. I definitely want to get a picture with this one. I definitely want to with this one. This is... Oh, hold on. Hold on. Y'all got water all over your face here. Let me clean it off. Let me get that. All right, now y'all cleaned up there. Y'all shined up again now. Okay, come here, buffalo. Yes, man. Okay. There he is. It may just be my glasses. They distort the color a little bit. He looks like he's got a little bluish green hue to him today. You like how I said hue? But it looks like, through my glasses, it looks like it does. That's awesome, man. Love me some buffalo, y'all. That one there actually fought pretty good too. A lot of them buffalo, even the larger ones, they don't fight particularly hard. That one, the fight didn't last long, but I mean, he was hitting it and getting it. Okay, let me grab y'all again. I'm going to apparently pick the fake corn out of the net. And then, boy, he got that all slimed up, didn't he? Let's get this out. We'll land our other fish over here, and we got to get rebaited, man. We got fish out there doubling up like that. Y'all could have done had this picked out. You could have done had, look at that, golly bud. I bumble-fingered that, didn't I? Y'all could have done helped me out though, and done had all this done. Come here, Carp. Look at that fly on my hand. Y'all swat that fly. My other hand's got the net. I can't get him. Oh, nasty fly. Them things. Flies are one of the nastiest creatures. Always landing on dog turds out in the yard, laying their eggs in it. Nasty old things. I think this is going to probably turn out to be another situation where he's going to end up being bigger once I get him in than what I thought he is. Right now, yes. Yes, folks. That's another good fish. That's another good fish, man. We're on some fish today. It's not been a lights out bite. It's not been nonstop action. Part of that could have been too, just the fact who knows how long, when we went through that slump, who knows how long we didn't have any actual worms on our hook. But man, we got lines in with actual baits on the hooks, and we're getting bit. And we're getting some better quality today. Again, this is my new favorite spot to fish because it ain't been tainted by anybody. Got notch on his back right there. You see that? Okay, right behind his knob right there in front of the fin. That's weird. You're a weird fish. He said he's going to report me. You can't be body shaming like that. Not even a carp. You can't body shame a carp in 2024. You can't say nothing about anybody this day and time. All right, man. I wanna work quickly here as we can. Let's get. Oh hell, this one's in the net too. This one's all up in the net too. Well, thankfully, all we've needed today is 2 rods, because that third one over there, who knows if it's even got a worm on it at this point. But it ain't got nothing going on. Have we caught a fish on it at all today? I don't think we have. I know that's happened before with one of the outside rods. I think it's that side where this happened before on the same spot. It just makes me think that maybe fish are, and I could be wrong, but if they're coming from the back of the creek out, they're going to run into the left rod and the middle rod first. If they were coming the other direction, it's hard for me to imagine that they're just going to pass up the rod on the right with the exact same bait and rig to come get these. Like, it don't make logical sense to me. So maybe the fish are further back up in here, and as they make their way out, that's when we're getting them. I don't know. In the end, it don't really matter as long as we're getting them. That's what's most important. And we're definitely doing that today. Bait up again. This time we'll take a night crawler and cut it in half. We'll put half on one rig and half on the other. That way we're kind of going to be getting the same size of worms as what we've been using with the little red worms. These night crawlers, buddy, I'll tell you this, man, we did get our money's worth with them. They are large. I may have to actually get my scissors to, there we go. That thing's so big, I don't know if I could cut it with my pliers. He's still pretty, we could have probably cut this thing in thirds, truth be told. We'll put it out there like that and see what happens. Okay, there's one out. Man, I'm excited over that buffalo, y'all. That's, I mean, if I get a buffalo, I got a line, there we go. I got my line and my trolling motor up there. If I get a buffalo, it's just it's luck more than anything. I mean, that's what it's, I'll be honest with you, it's luck. But ain't it odd? And again, I know I was told, and I believe it to be true, I'm not calling the guy a liar, that more buffalo are out on the main channel this time of year than what's in the backwaters. That's true, I believe that. I certainly see a bunch of them out there on the main channel when I'm catfishing, and I see them, you know, first thing in the morning, you'll see them coming up, surfacing and whatnot. I see them out there in the morning, so I know there's a bunch out there. They might be up in the shallows there first thing in the morning when they're up surfacing, but you know they're out there over the deeper water. But there's still some in the backwaters. There's still some fish back here. We've seen them on recent trips where I've used the soybean meal and could not get a bite. Yet last trip, when we were doing the experiment, the rod with the panko, what do you know? It gets the one buffalo of the day. We're out here with panko today, we get some buffalo. So, or one buffalo anyway. So, I mean, it's, hey, look right here. There's one of them red worms. I guess he got thrown off the hook or something. We'll reuse that one. We got a refund on that one. Put that night crawler back in the tub, half a night crawler, and we'll just put this in on. Might get 2 fish on that worm. But I mean, you know, we go back to using panko the last 2 trips, and what do you know? We catching buffalo again. Even though there may not be as many in here, there's still some in here, and for whatever reason, I don't think it's a coincidence we go back to panko and we suddenly start catching them. We couldn't buy one before, even though we were seeing them. That's just me talking out loud. I mean, I can't prove anything, but I mean, we used the soybean meal. I used it for several trips. It wasn't like it was a one trip thing. I mean, I used it in several trips. I used it in a few different places. So I think panko's the way to go. When you look at the cost of it, the value of it, the soybean meal, even paying the ridiculous shipping costs. I mean, if you can get a big 50-pound bag of soybean meal at a local farm store, feed store, and get it for $30, well, you're going to be okay. As far as cost, you're going to come out way ahead. Now, my situation, you still come out ahead, even paying the shipping cost over panko. But panko's so much more convenient. I mean, Walmart, grocery store, dollar store, it's everywhere. And so, I think it's panko for me. Oh, I was telling you about my power pole setup, though. That's what we were talking about for them fish. The double interrupted us. So anyway, how I did this, I had them back there in the back initially. They were too close together. I was getting the weather veining effect. Like right now, this wind is kind of picking up a little bit. I don't know if you can see on the water, but it's picked up a little bit. It's blowing right against the side of the kayak. Because I've got these right behind the seat, and I've got some distance between them off the side, we're holding steady, even though the wind is blowing us this way. Like it's holding the kayak steady. But all I did to put this on, I mounted the power poles to a board, and I put my back rod holders on it here too. This is like a 1x6 that I painted. And I just drilled a couple holes and ran a U-bolt from the up under the bottom there around that rail to the board, and just 2 U-bolts, one on each side. That's all it takes to hold it in place. And this is held up well. So that's another one of those things that it works on this kayak because I got this rail. But when I get a new kayak that ain't going to necessarily have this rail, what am I going to do to jimmy rig my power pole? Because I got to have them for this carp fishing, and I need them off to the side, like either, I really need them either kind of under the seat going out this way or right behind the seat. Preferably, I'd like for it to be under the seat is what I'd like, and to have the 360 seat be able to spin over the top of it. That's what I would like, ideally. But you got to have a way to put it on. You got to have a way to rig a board to the kayak so that these stick off to the side and be able to operate. And when these power poles go down, kind of like the reverse of the rod, you know, when you got a rod holder and a catfish takes it down, you got downward pressure. When I drive these power pole stakes down into the mud, it's putting an upward pressure on this rail or whatever you got it mounted to. So if you got it mounted into gear tracks, let's say, and they're just screwed in or riveted in, you're gonna have all that upward pressure coming on that. And so I don't know how that's gonna hold up long term, especially when I'm standing up and leaning over and rocking and stuff. Like, I don't know. That's one of them things, like it's just, you know, until you get in the kayak, just set in it and start thinking about, okay, distance-wise, where do my rod holders need to be? Where do the power poles need to be? How in those distances that I need them to be, like, what are my options for hooking stuff? You don't know until you get in it. And so I'm gonna have to just go up there, set in that bona fide, probably set in the new canoe, and just see. I mean, you know, the other option is keep my current setup. I've used this thing for 5 years. It's not perfect, but it works well enough. There's been so many times where I've gotten out in water that's a little bit too rough and you fill up that hatch with water. And this past spring, I was scared, man, like butthole puckered, scared that I wasn't making it back to the launch. Because when I got back, there was nowhere I could get out to be able to turn the kayak over, dump out water. Like, there was nowhere because the waves were so bad in the section of the river I was on. There wasn't an option. So I had to make it back to the launch. But by the time I got back, I had taken over so much water over the bow. My kayak was sitting maybe an inch from the water line. Like, this kayak sets up pretty high above the water. I had maybe an inch of clearance because the whole inside was full. It was a scary situation. I mean, you move your weight too quickly, like you were going over. And then I kept going through them waves, and like you would feel the water sloshing inside this thing, like shifting the weight and stuff. And like, it was scary. Yeah, in those kind of situations, they're not common. It's not an everyday thing. But once or twice a year, you're going to be out fishing. And this happens a lot in the spring, for instance. You go out, you fish the morning hours, it's flat calm. And by noon, you got 30-mile-an-hour winds. Like, that happens a lot in the spring. Like March, April here, very windy months, right? So maybe you're out fishing, everything's calm, and then before you can make it back to the car, the wind kicks up. Like, that's going to happen once, twice a year, aside from just pop-up storms and weather events that you just accidentally get caught out in, you're going to have 1, 2, 3 days a year where you're going to be caught out in some high winds. Or you're going to have a tournament on a day where you're on a big body of water and the wind is just more than what you're comfortable with or more than what you would ideally want to be out in, but it's a tournament, you've traveled to it, you got to go. Those 3 or 4 days a year, I want to be prepared for those. I mean, I know that's silly. I know it's silly, just you changing everything up over 3 to 4 days. Yes, I am. Potentially, at least. And, you know, aside from that, I do want the option of fishing off the back of the kayak. Well, you know, especially now, it's still warm. I mean, September's a warm month here in Tennessee. But as we get on into November, December, January, February, the temperatures are going to start to cool. And I've told this before in other videos when it comes to being able to spin around backwards in your seat. When you're out there fishing and you're spot locked, catfishing or something, the motor's going to turn into the wind. And if you're sitting like I am today, and that wind's blowing in your face, it's amazing the difference, how much warmer you feel when the wind is blowing into your back versus blowing into your face. It's crazy to think how much body heat we lose through our head. This fish is going to lose his head if he takes his rod over, and he is. Let's do it again. He ain't running real hard yet. This ain't a cat. It ain't a cat, folks. I don't know what it is. Could it be another buffalo? Maybe it's a carp that just hasn't bolted yet. I don't think it's a cat. It's kind of staying in place, but I don't feel rolling. I don't feel it rolling out there. I don't think it's a cat. So it's got to be a carp or a buffalo. It's definitely not a turtle. Surprisingly, we ain't got any turtles today. Knock on wood, I ain't jinxed it yet. I love turtles, but I don't really want to catch them. I don't want to hurt them. Well, this fish went over the middle rod without getting in it, and I'd be doggone if he didn't get in. No, he didn't. He went under it. Okay, let's go under this one. He can go wherever he wants. I want to get a look at this thing and see what he is. That's a carp. Definitely didn't get the violent burst with this one. Even now that he's over here by the kayak, he still ain't really taken off. Well, hell, maybe this fish just partied all night. This fish here, he just got up and he didn't have to wrestle Daphne the dog to get eye medicine in, so he ain't fully woke up yet. He's gonna wake up and we try to put him in this net though. Missed him that time. I was just thinking how I was doing so good with the net job today. Got him. Oh, now he's wanting to thrash around, ain't he? Be splashing water down inside my boots, fish. Alrighty. All right, man. Well, interesting, folks. We had a lull. Kind of, what, an hour? Well, definitely to start the trip, it was kind of slow. Well, we got some fish, and then we had another lull, and now I feel like we're getting bit pretty frequently now. You think maybe they're kind of just moving in here a little more? I don't know if maybe we've got so much chum in the water now with as many casts as we've made, and the fact that the wind is blowing like it is, that it's moving the scent around possibly. I don't know. I don't know why I bother. Listen, fish. I'm trying to get that daggone net. He don't want me getting that thing. Here. I was going to give you front camera time and I got that thing undone. Now I'm going to turn you around like this. You worthy of front camera time, but you ain't getting it acting that way. He just couldn't be patient. I was just trying to get this thing undone from the net, and he wouldn't be patient long enough for me to do it. And I showed him. I took away his front camera time. I broke that fish's heart, but he done it to himself. You can't let these fish just walk all over you like that, folks. You gotta set boundaries with these fish of what's going to be acceptable and what ain't. And but that fish right there, his behavior wasn't acceptable. I can't get this. There it come. Set that over there till we get the net out the way. But yeah, I don't know why I spend time analyzing stuff like that, because it don't matter. Why are the fish here now when they wasn't early? I don't know. We can talk about it and come up with theories till we're blue in the face, but you know what? It don't matter, because they're here now. They're here now. We're getting bit now. And so now it's we're having fun either way. It's turning into, I was worried. At one point, we had them 2 carp and I think 2 catfish at the time. And I was like, man, this is going to be a slow day. We're just not getting much action, you know. The quality was good on them first 2 carp. But I was like, you know, maybe it's just going to be a low numbers day. But it's, once again, this creek is producing. This creek has been very good to me when I have fished here. It's my new favorite spot since the other one is now tainted to me. Forever unclean, as the guy from that TV show The League used to say. Forever unclean. What an underrated show that was. I would argue The League is one of, it's like a more vulgar Seinfeld type show. I would argue I wouldn't put it ahead of Seinfeld. Seinfeld's my #1 show, sitcom of all time. I would put The League #2. That's how much I liked that show. I haven't watched it in years. What's going on with this rod? Have we got a fish on this thing? Is he swimming? Y'all, I think we got a fish on this daggone rod. He's swimming with it. Watch this. He was swimming with this daggone thing. I saw my line was slack. I was just gonna tighten it up. We got a fish on here. Y'all didn't even know. You could have hollered at me. Holler at a playa. Oh, it ain't a fish either. I talked about turtles, man. Oh, man. What is it? Is it a snap? Okay, it's a slider. Okay. Y'all, I done it, man. I talked about the turtles. And I conjured this one up. I done it to us, man. I done it. This is all me. That's a fairly large slider. Let me see if we can figure out where this hook is at in him. Come here, good buddy. Oh, good, it's on the outside. We'll be able to get that. I hate hurting a turtle. Absolutely hate it. Love turtles. Hate getting them with a hook like this. There we go. We got it. Thankfully, that hook was kind of on the outside of the mouth, so let's hold you up here. Come here, Leroy. That's what we're going to name you, Leroy. Look at him there, sticking his head out at us. But he ain't scared at all. Not one bit. You on camera right now, fish. You got potentially tens of thousands of people watching you. Do you have any words of wisdom? Anything you could tell people? Boy, his claws are sharp too. You got you a lip piercing today, didn't you? Is that cool in the turtle world? It's apparently cool in the human world these days. He ain't the least bit scared though, is it? I mean, got his neck sticking out there. All right, buddy. There. We'll see you. There he goes. Well, folks, we've now caught at least one of everything. I mean, for real. We got channel cat, blue cat, carp, buffalo, now turtle. We have got damn near everything this creek has to offer. There could be flatheads in here. There's obviously bass and sunfish and things like that. But I mean, as far as what we could reasonably expect to catch on these rigs, we have now caught all of them. Incredible. Just incredible. And we ain't seen, I just about said we ain't seen no boats, but I don't want to say that, because just like what happened a few minutes ago when I mentioned the turtles, and next thing you know we got one. I said that there in the last video, and that pontoon boat as wide as the creek come by. Well, we're gonna bait up again. I'm gonna put another, what do you think, about half a night crawler on this thing, unless we can find one that's a little smaller. Yeah, let's take this in here and get our pliers. Never see any worm advocates out there. You know, if I'm catfishing and I use a crappie for bait, God forbid, or a bass, tons of advocates for them. I've never had anybody speak up for shad, for skipjack, or for worms. Nobody cares about worms. People care greatly about crappie. Nobody cares about a worm. I guess because these worms here are from Canada. Nobody cares about Canada. They're the friendly neighbor to the north. I've never been there. I honestly don't imagine I ever will. I can't ever imagine a reason why I would go to Canada. And the fishing I hear is pretty good up there as far as like smallmouth and stuff goes, but I don't know that I'd ever have a reason to go up there. I would like to go overseas and do some, either fish for whales, catfish, or actually fish with some of those professional carp fishermen that always lecture me. That'd be fun. I don't know if that's going to happen this year because I got so many other trips planned. But at some point, it probably can. I actually have this. So, when was it? It was the Texas trip, 2022. I'm on the flight down, maybe it's the flight home from Texas. And the stewardess gets on there and they're on the intercom, you know, trying to sell you stuff. And they're walking around with these damn credit card offers, and they're saying, if you sign up for this card, you get 50,000 airline miles, good enough for 2 plane tickets in the continental United States, or 1 ticket overseas. All you had to do was sign up for this card. And me, I never carry a balance. I'm cheap, right? Like I don't I'm not going to pay interest if I don't have to on nothing. So I have a credit card that I use. I put my normal monthly expenses on there, and I earn points on it, but I never carry a balance month to month. I always pay it off. So I get the points for stuff I'd be buying anyway, but I don't pay any interest, right? But I only need one card. Like, I use that credit card for everything, and then I have my debit card in case an emergency. Like maybe my credit card gets hacked or something, I'm on a road trip and I need gas, I can use the debit card. So all I need is that one card. Well, they're walking around, the stewardess and stuff, and they're touting this new credit card and 50,000 miles on. All you gotta do is sign up for it, make one purchase. And I thought, well, hell far, I'll sign up for that thing and make a purchase. And they say the miles never expire or anything. So I signed up for it. I got to 50,000 miles. I made my one purchase, whatever, and paid it off. And I kept the card for a while, but it was one of them things where the first year, the card didn't cost nothing, but after 12 months, you had to pay a yearly fee just to have the card. And I thought, I ain't paying no damn yearly fee. So I canceled it. Still get to keep the miles, no problem. So mission accomplished. I got my 50,000 airline miles, 2 plane tickets, or 1 trip overseas, whatever. And yeah, well, I get an email. Oh, this is 2 or 3 weeks ago now, saying my miles about to expire. I thought, hell, there ain't no damn way these miles about to expire. I remember that stewardess saying the miles don't expire. Well, it turns out they don't, as long as you're using the card. If you're not using the card, then there are other things you have to do to keep your miles active. So, I'll be damned, our right rod just got nipped. And I was sitting here wondering if it even had a worm on it. Something nipped it. I'd like to catch one on that rod today. We'll see if it happens. But anyway, I get this email, my airline miles about to expire. So, you got to make a purchase with the card. Well, I don't have the card, I canceled it. The other options were, you got to either spend the miles. If you spend even some of the miles, then it resets the clock or whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't want to spend these miles yet. You know, I don't have any trips coming up. Like me and the girlfriend back in the late winter, it was February, March, I can't remember. We went to Las Vegas. But we flew out, these airline miles are for American Airlines. We flew out of Allegiant Airlines because they have direct flights out of Knoxville. If we had flown American Airlines, one, we would have paid more for the ticket, even though they would have been paid for by the miles, you would have still been, the ticket price would have been more. But then we would have had a layover somewhere, much longer flight, so we went Allegiant direct flight. So I ain't been nowhere to fly since I got these airline miles, but I don't want to lose them. So I'm going down this list of stuff that I can do to keep these miles. And so one option is to earn more miles by signing up for their dining thing. So apparently American Airlines has this dining thing, which I signed up for. Left rod got hit. I think something's working that rod. Oh, okay, there. Yep, he's got it now. This ain't a turtle here, folks. This is a carp here. At least I think it's a carp. He's got some speed when he wants to use it. It's probably a carp. Well, he's I guess went over that other line and successfully done so. Thank you, carp. Man, you know, when he does that, it kind of felt like rolling. I don't think this is a cat though. Is it a cat? I don't know what this is yet. It acted like a carp, but then maybe, I don't know if it was head shaking and it felt like rolling potentially. No, it's a carp, okay. I was a smidge confused. Let's land him on this side since he's over here, if we can. Get the net. Come here, carp. You come over here right now with that worm still in your mouth. You got a worm hanging out your lip, carp. Well, he ain't fighting that net at all. He's gonna act a fool up in here. Well, I say that, he ain't done it yet, has he? You making me look like a liar, fish. You making me out to be a liar. It's like every ex-girlfriend I ever had. All right, we already got that hook out, man. He didn't fight to get in the net. He ain't fought since he's been in the kayak. You're a very cooperative fish. I could give you front camera time, but I'm not gonna, because you're not. Maybe on a normal day I would, but we've had some sows today. You've had some larger friends and family today in this area, carp, so you just get in chest cam mode. I will pull this camera out though, take a look. Y'all get, nope, still screen's clean. Y'all got your face clean on there. Make sure you brush your teeth too before you go to the dentist. Don't want that hygienist breathing your gingivitis breath. Got our worm still on here and everything, man. That fish right there, you talk about a courteous fish. Calm and cooperative in the kayak, left us the worm on to reuse. Boy, if they could all be like that. Yeah, I'll just rehook this worm one time. Run that through. Okay. Well, pack us some more on. This panko, I can't tell you, man, after using the soybean meal for the past several trips, like this is just a dream come true to work with as far as getting on them feeders. Just packs on so good, casts so easy. We're not flinging it off the hook everywhere. My hands, look at that. Barely anything on them. I just can't imagine these fellas, and you know, use whatever you want. Who the hell am I to tell you something about carp fishing? But these people using sodas and maple syrup, like pancake syrup in their mix, like, you imagine how sticky that must be on their hands all day? I mean, you'd have, hell, your rods, when you pick up a rod, everything would be maple syrup. I store my rods out in the shed, so I'd have ants all over everything, like it'd be. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. But anyhow, so I had to sign up for this daggone American Airlines dining thing. And it's free, but I had to link my because I'd already shut down the American Airlines credit card I had. I only got that card just to get them damn airline miles. So I was able to link my other card, and then it had like a list of restaurants you had to go to. And if you made a purchase there with that card that you had linked, you would earn airline miles toward your American Airlines account. And by earning miles, it would reset the clock on when your other miles would expire. So I do this, I pull up the list, and of course, you know, they ain't not one damn restaurant on there that you actually want to go eat at. Not one. What's going on with this middle rod here? That may be That may be either a turtle or your channel cat. Definitely not a turtle. Think it might be a cat. I think you might have a catfish on here. I'm gonna let y'all handle this one. If you wanna go ahead and let him come off the hook here before we get him in, I'd be fine with that. Our goal coming out here today was carp and buffalo. We have succeeded in that. We don't need any more catfish. It was nice to catch a catfish first thing just for the excitement of it, getting bit that quickly. But at this point, I would rather the bait stay out there for when a carp goes swimming by. He's heading over there to the left though, buddy. He ain't coming this way. I don't know how, it's definitely a cat. I saw him splash, but I don't know. I'm sure it's gonna be a, no, I've lied to you. The silver I saw was a buffalo. I'll be doggone, mistaken identity. I've insulted this fish by calling him a cat. He'll never forgive me. I saw the silver out there. I thought it was a catfish. Well, that explains why he was fighting a smidge harder than a dink blue or channel. Okay, all right. That's buffalo number 2, y'all. Back to panko and we're catching buffalo again. How about that? Imagine that. I think people lied to me in that comment box. I don't know why y'all would want to lie to me, but oh, I let him get out the net. He swam in that net and swam right back out. This is another one, maybe just my glasses, but he looks like he's got that bluish hue to him. The bluish green hue. I like saying hue for some reason. This one's bigger than the last one. Yes, man. Yes, y'all. Second buffalo of the trip. I thought it was a cat. I feel stupid. This fish says, Justin, you are dumb if you think I'm a catfish. Got him on that old night crawler, man. Got our hook out. All right, we're getting some front camera time with this one here for sure. Hit that thing there. Okay, Mr. Buffalo, will you be calm long enough for me to hold you up? I want people to see this bluish green hue on you. He ain't wanting to calm down. There we go. Oh man, the sun's still there. I don't know if y'all can see the bluish green hue or not. I'm gonna say hue 4 or 5 more times today, man. That's awesome. Yes, man. All right, buddy, get on. Trash fish to most people. But I've just become infatuated with them. Whatever the word I can't think of because my brain ain't working. You know what I'm trying to say. Intrigued by. I like the daggone things, man. They're a nasty, slimy fish. They're slimier than a catfish. They don't fight as hard as a carp. I find them to be difficult as all get out to catch consistently. But man, when I get one, I love the daggone things, man. I guess maybe if I got them more often, I wouldn't be as into them. But because it's so sporadic, and I feel like I've gotten lucky when I do get one, I don't know. I guess I just appreciate them a little more. I don't know. But we've got 2 now. And we went several trips there using that damn soybean meal and couldn't buy one. I'm done with soybean meal, buddy. I'm done with it. That was a bad deal. I got ripped off on that mess. this panko recipe here I'd found on the Catfish and Carp YouTube channel years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, whenever I started using pack bait. And it was simple and easy, and I thought, great. I want simple and easy. And I took it out and I used it and I caught fish. And I kept using it and kept using it. And everybody's like, well, Justin, try this, try that. And oh man, y'all. Here comes the boat. I hope they don't come all the way back here. I talked about it a little while ago. I talked about it a little while ago, no boats back here. I'll be damned if we ain't got one coming, man. I've done it again. I've conjured another one up. Golly bum, how do I do this? This is a Monday. Now granted, this is a bigger creek. It does get more boat traffic overall, but you never see anybody back here. Golly bum. I hope he don't come back here and like, because we're kind of casting toward the middle of this out here. Like he's not going to be able to get, it's too shallow on the other side for him to, I'm going to cast this out. I hope he don't run over our lines. I hope there's enough. He's going to have a hard time going around us. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Unless he's coming back here to net shad or something. You can net shad anywhere in this damn creek. I don't know what the hell he's got to come all the way back here for. I mean, seriously, why can't, I mean, I net shad in this creek when I do it, and I get them way up there at the other part. There's a little point up there it comes out. There's always shad on it. Well, any fish that's out there just got spooked. Because he's going right over the top of them with that outboard. I jinxed it, man. It's on me. I did that on the last trip. I was talking about how that other place up there was untainted with boats, and there come that damn pontoon not an hour or two later. Damn, man. He just went right by up there with that outboard, right there where we've been catching fish. He's got to be going back here to net shad. Unless he's got brush or something back there for crappie, which I wouldn't think you'd be getting crappie. This far back, I don't know, of course I ain't no crappie expert. What the hell do I know? Man, that sucks. We were on a good bite. He's turning around now. Is he just seriously coming back here and not even going to do anything? Are you kidding me? He's coming right back out. He ain't even going to fish. You're kidding me right now. You are kidding me. He's not even going to fish or throw a net or anything. He just idled over my lines right where I'm fishing and turn around and come back and do it again. What a prick. There's no courtesy left in this world, folks. I mean, he is staying over as far as you can in this creek anyway and giving me space, but I mean, it's so close to where my baits are. And he saw me cast out right before he come down here. He knew I'm fishing here. And he wasn't, I thought he was coming back here to net shad or something. What a prick. You know, look, it's one thing, like, you know, everybody's got a right to the water. So if I'm set up fishing here and he's fully intending, he come out here today planning on going back here and netting shad or something, like, you know, it's frustrating to me, but it is what it is, man. I'm set up in the way of what his plans were. So I get that. It sucks, but I understand it. But for this asshole, he just comes back here, runs right in front of where I'm fishing, turns around and comes right back. He's not throwing the net. He didn't make one cast, nothing. So if you're just out on a damn joyride, turn around before you get back here, because he saw me casting another line out before he got back here. What a prick, man. There ain't no courtesy left in this world, man. None. None. It may mess up our bite, folks. That may. The last time I carp fished, well, I say that, and here that's acting like a catfish or something, or a turtle. That middle rod. I hope we get bit just to stick it to him for trying to mess us up. Which is apparently, I mean, I assume that's what he was trying to do, was to come back here and purposely try to mess me up when he saw me, or else he would have turned around before he went up here, since he wasn't planning on making any nets, any cast net throws. But you can get, I mean, this, you've probably seen it here on video. There's all kinds of shad flipping back here, but when I throw in here, I've come back in here and netted shad before, but there's a point up here where the creek turns to the left, as far up there where you can see by him in the boat. There's a point that comes out that way. That point's always got shad on it. A little bit deeper, you know, it's, you throw on that, you know, that back here is real shallow. Off the tip of that point's 10, 12 feet deep, but if you get up on the point, you know, you can throw 3, 4 foot of water there. There's usually shad up there, man. But he ain't even doing that. He's just riding around. What an inconsiderate prick. Well, we got, all right. Well, here we are. We're getting bit anyway, by God. The last time we carp fished together, that pontoon boat come through, it kind of messed up the bite for a while. And you know, again, you run an outboard right over the top of where you casting lines, it makes sense. Them fish gonna scatter a little bit. I hope it don't affect us too bad today. I hope now that he's gone, I hope they turn around and come back. This ain't what we want here, though. This catfish. Well, it just don't make no sense to me. If he wasn't coming back here to do anything, you know, you can't go. I'm gonna show you here in a second exactly what I'm talking about. We get rid of this channel cat. Come in here, kitty. Come in here. I'm all full of piss and vinegar right now, kitty. At the world we live in today, man. You got boaters that just go right in front of where you're fishing at in a backwater creek with no intention of doing anything back there where they're going. Hold on, I got all this line wrapped up every which way. I'm gonna show you something though before we cast this back out. By God. Look back here at this creek. Okay? Once you get back there to about where he turned around, his motor would have been dragging bottom because it just gets progressively shallower back here. So if he's just out here even sightseeing, if he's just wanting to sightsee, he could have turned around over here beside us and saw every damn thing there was to see back here. There's nothing, it's trees and a couple houses over here behind. That's it. There's no damn reason to come back here unless you're going to be fishing or netting shad. And both of those could have been done and done better out there where, unless he's carp fishing. If he's bass fishing, I'd be out there, further out in the creek. If I was crappie fishing, I'd be out there further in the creek. If I was netting shad, I would have been netting all the way back through. I would have started up there. And if I didn't do any good, working my way back. Man, people just, there ain't no courtesy left in the world, man. Everybody's just all about themselves. And I know people's going to light me up in the comment box, because every time something like this happens, they always do. They're going to say, Justin, you don't own the water. I don't. I fully admit I don't. And I even said, like, look, if this guy come out here with the intention of going into the back of this creek and netting shad, and I'm in the way, well, it sucks for me, but so be it, you know? But to just ride right over the top and right in front of my lines, knowing damn well I'm cast out there fishing, and just turn around and come right back out 30 seconds later, like, no, that has nothing to do with both of us having the right to the water. That's just common courtesy, just having a little respect for each other, having common courtesy amongst people. I swear, man, people are pathetic. People are absolutely pathetic. Well, I ruined it, man. I talked about how this was going to be my favorite place going forward, because I never saw any boats here, and I jinxed it. I absolutely jinxed it today, because there come a boat. Well, now that this place is tainted for me too, do I go back to liking the other creek more? The other creek is definitely prettier scenery. It's just a cool place to be. So it's got that going for it. This creek here, at least I didn't have to reel in my lines. He was over there super shallow where he was at, but at least I didn't have to reel in the lines. The other creek, I had to reel everything in so the guy could go by, because it was such a narrow area. Man, that sucks though. And he's coming back out. He's got his back to us. He ain't even looking, waving, offering explanation or anything. Whew. That's something else, man. You know, and I'd like to say it's just a YouTube thing, because, you know, maybe just trying to be a dick because I'm doing a YouTube video, maybe recognize it. But chances are, hell, probably that guy probably didn't even know me. I mean, if it could have been one of you out here don't even have a YouTube channel, social media, or anything, and they'd probably done the same damn thing to you. Every time this happens, people blow up my comment box with stories of their own where just situations like that, people just being, you know, just showing lack of courtesy, lack of respect to other people in the water. I expect that kind of thing more on a weekend. That's why I hate fishing weekends. When I do fish on the weekends, I'm usually either just making a bait run or I am carp fishing where I'm way back in a creek somewhere, so it's less likely to happen. But how far? You don't expect that on a Monday morning when there's maybe 2 or 3 people using this section of the river. I mean, seriously, there was one boat at the ramp when I got out here this morning, them fellas fly fishing. I bet you when I get back today, there won't be but maybe 3, maybe 4. Somebody bet me right now, if you want to lose some money, I bet you there won't be more than 4 vehicles in the parking lot. Not more than 4. And he's going to come right back here and mess up our bite. Whew. People piss me off, but what can you do? What can you do? The thing is, you know, like, it sucks, but we already caught a bunch of fish today. We already got a bunch of fish. We got some big fish. So if I don't get another bite, and I ain't gonna fish too terribly much longer anyway, but if I don't get another bite, I ain't the end of the world. Already had my fun. And as long as you don't have somebody like that coming in and out constantly all the time, like, we sat here long enough, these fish will work back in. You know, our scent is still out there. The wind is still moving the scent. The fish that were in the area and has probably been eating some of the chum that has fallen off in other casts that we've made, if they get spooked off of that, they'll come back to it. You know, once the threat is gone, once they're not scared anymore, they'll come back. So, you know, we could ride it out. and get on the fish again. But we just shouldn't have to. It's just a lack of courtesy. It's lack of respect. I don't understand it, man. I wasn't raised that way. That wasn't how I was raised up. If I had done something like that, of course, as a kid, like I wouldn't be out in a boat riding over people's lines, but just something of comparable disrespect. If I had shown a comparable amount of lack of respect or lack of courtesy to someone else in a public place like that, you know what would have happened to me? I'd have had my ass blistered because I wasn't raised up to be like that. You know what I mean? That's the problem. And I don't know how old that guy was. He looked like a younger feller. But, these kids today, man, these young people today, it's a different generation. They never had their asses blistered. They never got the belt. They never got a switch. And I know these people today that say, well, you can't, and I ain't got no kids. Listen, I ain't telling you how to raise your kids, okay? I ain't got no kids. Who the hell am I to tell you how to raise them? You do you. But I'm going to tell you straight up, whoopings, when you get a whooping as a kid, and I didn't realize this when I was a kid, but I realize it now as an adult. When you get a whooping, it ain't about punishment. Part of it's punishment, of course. But it ain't about punishment for whatever you've done. It's about learning a lesson. It's about teaching you that whatever action you did to get the whooping, whatever you've done is wrong. It's about teaching you a lesson to not do that. It's about teaching you from a child onward that there are consequences for your actions, right? And so it's a learning, it's as much of a punishment as it is, it's a learning opportunity. And when you take somebody like me, and I didn't get a whole lot of whippings as a kid, didn't have to, because the threat of it was enough to learn me. You reach a point, people think, well, these parents in the South, they just whoop on their kids all. No, they don't. Most of the time, even in my generation growing up, where whoopings were commonplace amongst all kids, most of the kids I went to school with, my friends and stuff, they didn't get whoopings all the time. They got some whoopings, but once the lesson was kind of learned the first couple times, after that, all you had to do was be threatened by it. My great-grandma, she could tell me I was going to have to go out there and pick my own hickory switch. I'd quit doing what I had to do because I didn't want my hide tanned. The threat of it was enough. I'm like, okay, I've pushed her too far. I've hit the wrong button. I better calm my ass down. Okay? You learn that but these kids today, they don't learn a damn thing. The generation after me and these kids now, they never went through that. So they just do whatever the hell they want, whenever they want, to whoever they want, and there's been no consequences. And those kids grow up to be adults, and you get situations like this where you would think it'd be common courtesy, but it's like, no, they just do what they want, because why wouldn't they? They've been able to do whatever the hell they want their whole life. So it's poor parenting is what it is. And I ain't telling you how to be a parent. I'm not a parent, except to my dog. But the generation of kids today and these young adults that are out there now, it's poor. And you know who it is? Honestly, it's my generation. I'm 42. So people my age have raised the people that are teenage years, early 20s at this point, some of them. And on down, it's my generation that's messed it up. And we should know better because we went through it. I didn't mean to get off on a tirade about whooping kids today. You know, that wasn't what I was in. I was coming out here to catch some fish and have a good time, and that fella there, he done set me off on a whole different conversation topic. I mean, these fish, they'll come. They may not come back before I leave because I'm not going to fish much longer. I'm going to go home and get some lunch and Dr. Daphne's eyes again. But I mean, that's disappointing, man. We were getting some fish. Got that second buffalo. I am still excited about the buffalo. That guy ain't gonna damper my spirits on me being happy about that buffalo. I like it, man. Anytime I get a buffalo, it's a cherry on top of the trip, man. It's the icing on the cake, and to get two today, that's pretty cool. I credit switching back to panko. Maybe it's coincidence, but we went several trips there at the soybean mill, 0 buffalo. The last 2 trips with panko, we're getting buffalo again. And prior to switching to the soybean mill, I was getting buffalo. And that's why I switched, because I wanted to get even more. I made a mistake, I guess. Now, some people have said the soybean meal, you got to let it sour. I didn't do that. Other than, you know, letting it set. If I mixed it up and fished the next day or a couple days later. But that ain't really had time to sour, I guess, to go bad. But I mean, even that, like, hell, I'd have to make my bait a week in advance. And I don't carp fish every week. You know, like if I'm on a carp fish, it's usually I'm in the mood. You know, today, oh, okay, here we go. We got one again. Is it what we want though? There's another cat. Is he coming at us? Did he come off? Okay, there he is. I think it's another cat. Tiny cat. Nope, that's actually a drum. Oh, I'll be damned, looky here. We done got us another species on the day. We got us a drum, folks. How about that? Well, I'll tell you what, this one right here is actually coming with us. This one is going to be catfish bait, because my plan for tomorrow was to make a bait run. So this little guy, we're going to stick him in the cooler. I don't think I got any ice in here though. I don't have any ice in here. I'll have to stop and get some on the way home. Well, I'm not gonna stick him in that bag and put him in there. Y'all, on the way home today, please, please, please don't let me forget to stop and get ice. That thing will be rotted tomorrow. We try to open that cooler, it'll be stinking tomorrow. Yeah, I'm gonna make a bait run tomorrow and probably try to catfish on Wednesday. But I was trying to say, these carp trips for me are usually to kind of spur of the moment. You know, if it's a weekend, certainly I'll either go catch bait or carp fish. But weekday carp trips, I'm not planning them. Like I wake up, I'm in the mood, I go do it. Or if maybe, you know, like today, I don't have any catfish bait. So like today, I was either gonna have to make a bait run today or go carp fishing. And I'm like, I'm in the mood to go catch some carp. So that's what I did. But like, you know, it's hard for me to mix up a bait and let it sour for a length of time. And, you know, I don't plan my carp trips out like that. I just don't. So I don't want to have to use a bait that you have to do that with. I want to just be able to mix it up either the night before or the morning of, before I go out on the trip. Yeah, that little drum right there, he's ideal size. If I had a way to keep him alive, we'd have used him as a live bait on the next cat trip. I don't have my bait bucket with me. That's something else too, when I get a new kayak, I got to think about. On days where you're taking everything, your cooler for cut bait, your live bait well, you got to think about, where's that stuff going to go? Do you have space for it? I think the new canoe and the Bonafide will both have space for that stuff. I just really, my biggest concerns, the Bonafide, my biggest concern is, how am I going to mount the rod holders? How am I going to mount my power poles? The new canoe, my concern is quality of the kayak itself, and how am I going to mount my power poles? Like that's my two concerns. I'm not going to be able to access inside of the hull to bolt a board through for my power poles on either kayak. I'm going to have to rely on the gear tracks. And I just worry that upward pressure, I worry it's going to cause problems. Especially just, you take today, how many times have my poles come free today where I've shifted my weight, either standing up to cast or leaning over to get a fish or whatever. Every time I shift my weight in the soft mud, sometimes one of these poles will work through. If you're in a situation, maybe the mud on the bottom is a little thicker, it's a little bit more solid, and your poles don't give when you shift your weight or go to lean over. All of that pressure, because the pole isn't giving, is going to be on that gear track that you've got your power poles, whatever you've jimmy rigged together that I'll have to do on these other kayaks. Like all that pressure is going to be on one side of that gear track. And I worry that could cause problems. I do. We'll have to get on there and play with it and find out. The good thing is, as far as the new canoe goes, if I end up with that, if I had a problem with the quality of the kayak, if I had any kind of warranty issues, it wouldn't be me dealing with New Canoe's customer service. It would be Raccoon Creek Outfitters. I would deal with the shop, and then they would deal with the New Canoe, the company. Whereas last time, I had to deal with New Canoe directly, which was a joke. If I'd been holding my breath waiting on that call, I'd be blue in the face and stiff as a board right now. I'd be dead and decomposed. Who buzzed my phone? Oh, that's just email. We don't care about no emails out here today. We fishing. Emails are for time when you ain't fishing. It's hard to believe we've been going this long and I ain't got a spam call, though. They've really ramped up again here lately, the spammers, man. I've been getting a ton of calls. What I haven't been, and I may, do I say this again and risk jinxing it? I jinxed the turtle and I jinxed the boater. I mean, seriously, right after I talked about the turtle, we got bit by a turtle, I talked about never seeing boaters in this creek, and here comes one right in front of us. I don't even want to say this, but I can't not say it now that I've talked about it to you. You're going to wonder what I'm talking about. For the last several months, anytime I post a new YouTube video, within 1 to 2 minutes of that video posting, spammers hit it in the comment box. And they don't say anything bad. There's no links, like to a website or anything, in the comment box. But the thumbnail picture will be of a half-naked woman, and it'll be some random comment, and you will get hit. Every video I post gets 5 to 10 comments of these spam. It's within 1 to 2 minutes. They all post different accounts on there. And best I can figure, they're hoping, I guess, people will see the nudie woman in the thumbnail picture and click on the profile, which will then take you to their page where they will have some inappropriate videos on there. Because again, they're not sharing links, they're not promoting anything. It's always some random comment like, how are you doing today? What editing program do you use? Your videos are so great. It's something just random like that. But I mean, you post a video within 1 to 2 minutes, you're getting 5 to 10 comments like that. And it's all different accounts, all different screen names. But the last couple videos I've posted, I've only had 1 to 2 of those, not the normal 5 to 10. So I don't know, I block them all the time, but I mean, it don't matter how many you block. The next video you post, here's 5 to 10 more completely different accounts. I don't know if YouTube's cracking down on it, if they figured it out, if I've just blocked so many accounts now, maybe I've about got them all, I don't know. But it hasn't been as bad lately. So I'm hoping YouTube gets on top of it. That's really annoying. It's annoying for 2 reasons. First off, there's people that get upset with me because of I mean, you got a half-naked woman there, they got children watching my video or something, which they shouldn't be. Children shouldn't be watching unedited, raw, and uncut videos, because a normal edited video, if I cuss, I'm going to edit that out. But these videos, if I cuss, I may not even realize that I've cussed, because I'm not watching these back before I post them. Like I get home, they post. Like I'm not doing any editing. And half the time I don't even know what I say. When I leave here, I can't even remember what I talked about. So people get upset with me because their children are exposed to stuff in the comment box. And if their kid sees that and clicks on it, maybe they see something they ain't supposed to see. So I don't want that there, obviously, because I don't want people being upset over something that I really don't have control of. I mean, I can't sit there and watch that comment box 24 hours a day. I can't do it. I try to get on there when I know I have a video coming out, I try to get on within the first 15, 20 minutes, because I know I'm going to be spammed and take care of them, but I can't always do that. So that's one. The other thing is, when those spammers get on there, and you get 5 to 10 of them, just boom, all these different accounts logging on, clicking your video just long enough to leave a comment, clicking off, getting on another account, doing it, it just kills your watch time. My watch time in the beginning is always crap. And then 2 days later, it averages back out where it should be. But it kills it first thing. So I don't want them people there. Like, I don't want it. I know YouTube don't want it. But the way they're going about it, used to, when they would share links, it was pretty easy to get rid of those people, because I just stopped allowing links to be shared in my comments. Easy peasy, fixed. But this, they look just like a normal account. They're leaving what would be considered an appropriate comment to any algorithm or filter or whatever YouTube would be looking for. But it's just the thumbnail picture. And you would think in 2024, with it as advanced as technology is, they'd be able to scan for that and see that it's an inappropriate picture and take it out before then. But to this point in time, they ain't been able to do it. So, anyway. Well, y'all, we got another little tap there on that left rod. Maybe it's another drum. The carp and buffalo are gone. Since boat motor guy went right over there with his fishing, it's been over. I think I'm gonna get out of here in a minute. My battery's in the red. It ain't got much longer left anyway. Normally my camera battery lasts about 4 hours, but I did a members only video on Friday to let people know, because I had a couple channel members that was going to come meet me at the tournament check-in. And I did a channel members video to let them know I wasn't going to the tournament when I realized, you know, the weather's going to be bad and I wasn't going. And I didn't recharge any of the battery anymore. So normally I get about 4 hours. I'm going to get about 5 minutes less today. So the battery's about dead anyway. But yeah, I think I'm going to pack up and get out of here. That guy, he ruined it for us. If we sat here long enough, the fish will come back. But I'm not going to sit here another hour or two to wait on them. I got other stuff I need to do today. I need to doctor Daphne's eyes and all that. So anyway, y'all, well, hold on. We got a little tap arrow on the middle rod. It was acting like a little channel cat or turtle or something. Yeah, he ain't acting like anything. I hope it ain't another turtle. I don't want to stick another poor little turtle. I conjured that daggone thing up though earlier, didn't I? You know, I talked about it, and next thing you know, we got a turtle. But anyway, y'all, aside from the boat motor guy being a prick, it's been a fun day. 2 buffalo, some nice carp, several carp, a couple channel cats, blue cats, and turtle, and a drum. Don't let me forget to get ice on the way home. Yeah, it's been a productive day. But I'm gonna get out and make a bait run tomorrow. So hopefully the next video will be a catfish trip. I know I promised you a catfish trip on this time in Alabama, and it didn't happen. So life happens, you know, but my plan anyway will be for the next trip to be a catfish trip. So anyway, if it happens, it happens. If we fish for something else, we'll do that. But regardless, thanks for coming with me. I'll see you in the next one.